everybody. Welcome back to 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back, the podcast where me and Mike Nelson here read books that we're probably not going to like. And that bore out well with the last book, Mike. It did it not?
You know, something has to be at the bottom. The fact that was, like, no one argued with us. Like, this is the worst book we've ever read. Which is, you know, obviously that's saying a lot. That's the point. But to just like heads below, I guess, everyone just agreeing like, yeah, this is just awful. Yes, terrible.
It gets its own podium. It was Katie Ledecky lapping the other Olympic swimmers by 3 lengths of the pool, essentially. And it's like,
shocking.
Well, that's the second best person in the world, and this is that much better than them. It was the opposite of that.
Yes, we read books we don't expect to like. That last book, I did not like. I like this one a lot better, but
yeah, it's so when we were trying to pick book 34, this is right now. So that's even the competition. The last book was Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover, by the way, and this book, which we're reading now, Night of the Crabs by Guy N. Smith, is about as opposite in every direction as you could get. It's a lowbrow pulp horror book that is a quick read. It did not reach the New York Times bestseller list the year it came out, but it is a snappily paced. It's got romance. It's got giant crabs. It's got what else do you need besides those two things? So it's essentially, we can cover this when it comes up, but it is a 1/3 of every Riff Tracks or MST movie that you ever done was this, essentially.
It is amazing how close it is to so many movies that we did, Night of the Shrews, whatever. But I was shocked that the crabs thing spawned a series for him, correct?
Yes.
And it was always crabs. I just assumed he would like swap it out with like, no, the crabs idea is the essential part of it, which I didn't think that was the thing that was essential, but I thought, big something would be the thing. But no, he's like, no, it's crabs. It's crabs all the way down.
He did several other books before this.
But this is the one that caught fire.
This is the one that clicked. Yeah, this is where the editor was like, just guys like, I got a book about chameleons. And they're like, just give us the crabs book, guy. We know you can do it in a week. Give us Fortnight of the Crabs or Leap Day of the Crabs. Whatever it is, the people are buying the crabs books. It's sort of like Tech War. I think there's as many crabs books as there are Tech Wars.
What's astonishing too, like when you think of like this guy's super prolific, right? And that's sometimes that's a plus for people. He's prolific. Like,
sure, yeah.
Some people are prolific at sneezing on you. That doesn't mean that's necessarily a good thing. But I just think of that doing it on a typewriter, I'm assuming,
right?
Given the year that he's writing this, that he's banging this out. Pipe in mouth, of course.
Sure. Given the year and the other affectations we know about it, for sure.
Yeah, so you just think about that. Like, remember when you had a dot matrix printer? Did you ever have one?
Oh, of course.
When you start it, you could close the door and go in the other room. Like, you can hear the printer. I just think about his family as he's just banging it out. Like, Dad's writing right now. Is it a crab book? I can't tell from the type.
What do you think, Susie?
Just that noise in the other room.
That crab book put the food on your plate tonight. Well, so he wasn't just crab books. Let's get this.
No, that's clear, yes.
I have a few facts about Guy N. Smith here.
Okay, good.
I bought a book. It was a collection of pulp horror magazine interviews with him because I couldn't find anything else about him. And then he gave this interview in Pulp Horror magazine that was about some of his other work. So I got some facts about him. He wrote a lot of these books while he was working at a bank. He said he did them on bank paper. So I'm not sure if he was using a typewriter or smuggling the typewriter into the bank vault to. It would not be very surreptitious of you if you were doing that. Like, Smith, what are you doing back there? Like,
on bank paper. Oh, not paying for
Yeah.
It's like using the company packing tape and not replacing it. All right.
Exactly. And he said he drove the bullion van, the gold bullion. Is that how? But he liked doing that because it would get him out into the countryside. Yeah.
Wow.
So sort of unexpected. But then he started doing this, and it started paying him better. It talked about how one time he met the editors at one of these pulp presses, and they were like, they said, Guy Smith actually exists? We were under the impression it was a syndicate of writers using the name, which makes sense when you sort of look back and you're like, yeah, this is very, very pen namey.
I kind of assumed it was when I first saw it, and then I, quickly looked him up. I mean, it is like Donald J. Sobel, like just throw some letters at a screen, and yeah, that sounds good. That's a name, I guess. Guy N. Smith.
He also, this is great. He wrote. So he wrote crabs, he wrote werewolves, he wrote a book called The Sucking Pit, he wrote anything you could sort of throw at a pulp magazine. But he also, for a while, before he got super famous, before he started doing the crab books, he wrote Disney novelizations. And he wrote a novelization of Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, and Song of the South. So when you imagine, would you really want to put someone in the mindset of novelizing the forbidden Disney Vault movie? It's the British pipe smoking guy wearing the Sherlock Holmes deerstalker who's going to be like, I don't know if I've nailed, I haven't nailed Uncle Remus's voice today, eh? I got to get down to the pub, maybe have some chips, and that'll put me in the mindset to write zippity-doo-dah dialogue.
Hang on, I think I've got it.
Yes.
Could we find that book anywhere?
I have been looking. It was
assume.
on Archive. Yes, exactly. I wanted to see how he would nail the nail that voice. But archive.org was like, some of these pages are unavailable, so maybe Disney got to them. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll bring up, this is when I looked him up in the middle of it, with the same thing. Like, this can't be real. He's not a real guy. Obviously, he is. Horror critic R.S. Hodgie included Smith's novel The Sucking Pit on his list of the worst horror novels ever written. The worst horror novels ever written. I mean, that has to be a pretty short list.
Wow, yeah. But also just deep in terms of how much thing you have to mine. If this is the famous guy of the pulp genre, like, who else is out there that didn't make it onto our radar?
Honey, Daddy's mailing off The Sucking Pit. So just
he covered The Sucking Pit in that interview I read. He said that when he was like a wee lad of 5, his grandfather took him out. He said there was a real sucking pit, and his grandfather was like, "Looky there, guy. If you fall into there, you'll never hit the center of the earth. It's bottomless." And he was like, that it utterly terrified me. So just years later, he wrote that up based on personal experience.
You see the pit to the right of it? That one's okay. The one to the left is the perfect pit. This one is a sucking pit.
But in addition to novelizing Uncle Remus in The Song of the South and Brer Rabbit and the Tar Baby, I assume. So that was like, that was an anthology. So did it was like Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny. He had Uncle Remus telling the story of Brer Rabbit and the Tar Baby inside his novelization. That's some deft maneuvering there.
Well, this is Guy N. Smith we're talking about.
But he also he wrote the Sexy Confessions series. So, Sexy Confessions of a Bank Clerk. That seems like he might have had quite a bit of experience. Sexy Confessions of a Secretary. It started to go off the rails. Sexy Confessions of a Window Cleaner. Maybe that's what that Van Morrison song, "I'm Just Happy Cleaning Windows," was all about. That's why he's so happy. And Sexy Confessions of a Magazine Writer. So he started to plumb some personal experience here.
Yeah, write what you know. All right. Don't get that looped on yourself that you're Confessions of a Guy Who Hammers Out Pulp Novels.
Well, I think that we are, speaking of that, I think we could see that there's some self-insert going on in Night of the Crabs. But here's his quote. This is what you said earlier about him being prolific, and people do like to use that in our circles as a what's the opposite of a pejorative? As a compliment?
Yeah.
When you're talking about Roger Corman? Damn, the guy could make movies. A lot of them. And they never lost money. Well, okay. But he says, Guy Smith said, "I've never been pretentious. I wrote to be entertaining. If I had been born 20 years earlier, I'm sure I would have made my mark on the pulp magazines. I never bothered reading reviews, and analytical criticism bored me to tears. I was, in fact, earning more than many of the so-called top writers did, because I was churning out about 5 books to their 1. I didn't attend many functions simply because I couldn't be bothered to discuss what I'd written. I was more interested in what I was going to write. Once I've written a book, that's it. Forget it, and on to the next one." So he did the reverse. I make more money than you did. And it was just he prized volume.
Wow. Yeah, I don't. I'm not a fan of that as a positive. Like, he produces stuff. I mean, we've all been to a bad restaurant. Like, boy, they can really put the food out. Like, I don't view that as a positive.
It was McDonald's top selling point. Over 1 billion burgers served, and they would ratchet the number up. Okay. Terrific. Congratulations.
Doesn't have any impact on me. That was actually, when I was younger, that was Subway's motto. Something like 1 million by 97 or something. Some weird, like, what do I care how many of these atrocities you put out?
Oh. Yeah, so he's definitely he knew what he was doing. He didn't mistake it as high art. But I don't know. I think that if you're Stephen King or Colleen Hoover, there's still more money to be made from writing one that a whole lot of people buy versus 5 that a sweaty weirdo is at the rack of the drugstore being like, "Has the new Krabs book came in yet? I really, God, I told you yesterday, no."
What about Confessions of a Sweaty Guy Who Comes Into a Bookshop a Lot? Yes, that is out.
Right next to Confessions of a Drugstore Clerk. Yes, that was. So yeah, that's Guy and Smith. And also, as we talked about this in a Patreon exclusive, but he was the 2003 British National Pipe Champion because they did a competition where they provide you with a pipe, 3 grams of tobacco, and 2 minutes. You have to pack it up yourself, and then you see how long you can smoke the pipe without touching it. And Guy Smith smoked for 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 31 seconds.
Wait, not touching the pipe is part of the...
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Without, messing with...
Oh, without fiddling with it.
Sure, yeah.
So it's about packing the pipe.
Yeah, I don't think you're like Popeye with it hanging down over your, without...
Right, without, fiddling with it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's all about your packing ability and then your ability to draw from it, I guess.
Yeah. See, I had this an uncle when I was young who it was my father's sister's husband, and he was like the quintessential tweed guy with arm patches, and he was super intelligent. He was in the war. He was in the 101st Airborne, famous, but he was just have a seat, and then he would get his pipe out. He wasn't British, but he was. My memory of him is he always, of course, smelled like pipe tobacco, but was always fiddling with it. It seemed like he smoked for 3 seconds and then would be like, "So, tell me about this." And then would be scraping and stuff. And I was like, what is this hobby of this? I didn't dislike it. It was just a weird eccentricity. He was just the pipe guy.
Sure. I have a fond memory of my friend's dad who smoked pipe tobacco because the room would always smell like that. And to me, it was a very good, it smelled old and rich.
Yes, I like it.
But I've always been. I bought a corncob pipe when we graduated high school. My friends were getting cigars, and I was like, I'm going to get a corncob pipe to be different. And so I would try to pack that, and mine would last about as long as your uncle's. I never knew what the hell I was doing.
I'm a big fan and proponent. In fact, there's a corncob pipe behind me. Corncobs are the way to go. It's just that if you're seen smoking one, people are like, what are you... You Mark Twain smoke a real pipe, but they actually perform very well. It's just you can't really smoke them in public.
Yeah, especially the one that I probably got from CVS back in high school. It was probably not the.
No, those are fine. Yeah,
okay.
Those are all made in one place in Mississippi or something.
Wow, perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's an eccentric man, our Guy N. Smith, and if you look up pictures of him, it's hard to know. He was like 30, in his late 30s when he was writing Night of the Crabs. It came out in 1976, which is, astute readers may note, the year after Jaws came out, the book. I mean, the movie. So, but he's one of those guys that has, you look at him and it's like, he went from 23 to 67 in terms of his aging, and did not have his 30s or 40s or 50s. He just immediately became an old man, like Jim Leland did, the Pirates manager.
I think that's a smart move. If you're at all in the media, just become an old man in your 20s or 30s. And then people will be like, you look good, man. You haven't changed. Thank you. I looked old when I was young.
So that's Guy and Smith. And the only other question I had for you was, what is your opinion of the act of eating crabs? Just as to sort of sets the stage of a book which features a lot of them.
Well, it put me in mind of this one thing. One time, my sister-in-law is from, she's of Indian descent, but she's from Singapore. And so a Chinese New Year is a big thing. So we went to an Asian restaurant and had a crab, like a giant crab cooked, and then they pour the hot bean sauce over it. That's the traditional. It's like a roast turkey, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, that looks great. I'm excited. And then the most frustrating, hour of your life is you try to get meat out of this crab. Like, I'm just all covered with this hot bean sauce, and I'm still really hungry. So that's my impression of it. And she's like, huh? Kind of nudging me like, I'm not enjoying this at all.
At least it's also quite expensive to get crabs for all that.
Yeah.
I ask because back in, it was like 2019, and I saw some Washington Post reporter during the summer being like, I'm doing a series on summer traditions that might be overrated. It's like, anyone have any opinions about like the Maryland crab feast? Because we share a border, so the Maryland blue crabs are always been a thing here. And I was like, I'm bored. I'll talk to a reporter about crabs. And so we picked a time to do it. And I wrote down all these like jokes and one-liners and funny things about it, being like, oh, this is going to be fun. And then when the article came out, it's still online. She just picked it was called Crab Picking's a Treat if you don't mind slicing open your fingers while eviscerating a stinking carcass. And then the one thing she used from me was, even if you get past the smell, there's the inconvenience. In the process of breaking a crab apart, you'll inevitably cut yourself on a piece of shell and get Old Bay or lemon or other detritus in the wound. The stinging factor is off the charts, said Connor Listoka, who grew up in Vienna but now lives in Burlington, Vermont.
Wow.
Come on! I don't remember what I had written down, but I was just rattling them off. And
you had a tight five about crab eating, and suddenly it's boiled down to that.
Damn it! But my family saw that, and my sister was like renouncing me. We did crabs on Father's Day just last month, and there's something about it that's fun. But when you open them up, and there's the mustard they call it.
Yeah, some people like, ooh, give me that mustard.
Oh my god! I don't have a squeamish stomach, but that is just it's hard to get past. I can understand anyone who, if that's their out point there.
Like, I do enjoy a good soft shell crab, where they just they've molted and then just fry up the whole thing. That's why when someone suggested, like, you would probably like tarantulas, I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know. I guess if you burn the hairs off and it's kind of like a soft shell crab, yeah, all right.
Yeah,
I'll eat a tarantula someday.
Really
I guess,
hard to see the difference. Where do they eat those?
Oh, those are a treat. Where do tarantulas? South America?
I know a guy who can get you tarantula.
Oh, I'll get you a bag of tarantulas, Jerry.
So that's crabs.
Yeah.
Would you like to launch into the book, or do you want to do a guessing game?
Let's save the guessing game. Let's get into Night of the Crabs
by Guy N. Smith.
Do you have I understand there are a couple covers, of course.
Yes.
The one that I have is Death Was Emerging from the Sullen Sea.
Nice.
Night of the Crabs. Do you have there is a different one, right?
It's
like from the maker of Rats or something, or in the tradition of Rats.
In the tradition of the Rats. And they asked him about that in that interview I read, and he was like, "No, I was fine with it." They were like, what did you think about being compared to the Rats? And he was like, I didn't even read the Rats. I think it was sort of like, is this book a ripoff of the Rats? And he was like, it's fine. The Rats was fine, but this is the Night of the and yeah, there's a new one. If you buy it on Amazon now, you can get it. I don't know if you've seen that one, but because for a while, we've been doing this podcast for a while, and I had heard about this book or someone had recommended it, and it was out of print until the last time I checked. These books were out of print. You could buy the old pulp copy of it for $50 on Amazon, so that was sort of preventing us from doing it. But now they're making it, and it has, I'll just say it has a pretty crappy cover. It looks like, I don't know. Have you seen it? I'll send it to you. But it's like obviously made on a computer drawing tablet and has a sort of, it's devoid of all the charms of the initial cover, which is just made to look like a 1970s movie poster, and this just looks like a
that's what kind of. For what it's worth, I wrote my novel years ago, A Death Rat. That was the point. It was supposed to be that. It was like a giant rat, and there were, it looks a lot like the cover of Night of the Crabs. It was the homage to that kind of thing. So,
oh man,
I'm fond of it, but
yeah, it's great. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, obviously he wasn't trying to be good, and this is its own. I think it's just a fun genre to explore. Like clearly, this is going to be different than a lot of the books we've read that were either a lone lunatic writing his manifesto or a book that inexplicably became a New York Times bestseller. But
oh yeah, I don't like the thing you sent me, for what it's worth. You can't see it, of course. You're only listening to this, but trust me, it's not nearly as good.
Yeah, it's deeply unfortunate. I wish Death Rat had in the tradition of the Rats at the top of it.
Yes, exactly. I don't even think I knew about that at the
time. Well, I think right off the bat, it's clear that this is going to be a completely different book than the last one. Just the opening lines have so much more like description in flowery language than anything Coho said. It was just example. The sunlight sparkled and shivered on the deep blue of the incoming tide, the waves lapping gently at the harbor wall. Fishing smacks bobbed lazily on the slight swell, and flocks of seagulls screeched noisily as they anticipated the tidbits which would be thrown overboard as the latest catch was unloaded.
Well, yes, that is correct. But you said tidbits. This is the British titbits.
Oh. Wow, I completely blew that one. My mind corrected itself for me.
Well, I started reading and I was like, wait a minute, harbor with a U?
Yeah.
Titbits? I didn't know it was. I didn't know going in that it was British. And then I was like, wow, this is extremely British in the first paragraph.
They anticipated the titbits, which would be thrown overboard. And our readers might be anticipating some later titbits in the book as well. So,
well, this is Guy and Smith. It could be.
The Britishisms are amazing to me because you just get either some romancy novel horniness or crabs eviscerating people and guts being laid everywhere, and then all of a sudden it's like spotty, governor.
Yeah, it's amazing. That I love it. It's so like we say, it is so like a black and white movie, that was shot, in England, just like run and gun type stuff.
Yep. Probably starring John Agar as the cliff roll.
John Agar. So here's another description. This is I thought he was going to be our hero. He was in his early 20s, and his broad, handsome face was already tanned to a deep mahogany after less than a week of exposure to the Welsh coast sea breezes. I thought the sun did it, but what is happening with his face?
Night of the breezes.
A deep mahogany? I mean... I assume that his name is Ian.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I assume he's British, and then his uncle becomes the so.
Yeah, maybe just not the complexion for tanning, or maybe he's down coast of some sort of rendering plant or nuclear facility where the breezes quotes are actually carrying a lot of radiation on them, and that's why they're tanning him mahogany.
Everyone who saw him would be like, "Dear Lord, have you looked in a mirror? What is wrong with you?" A deep mahogany? I mean, if you look up that color right now, if you're listening, on your computer or whatever. A deep mahogany.
Ooh.
So take mahogany and go darker than that.
Yeah, reddish brown. Like
Red, brown, deeply dark.
good looking wood color.
Good for wood, not so good for a broad, handsome face on a guy named Ian.
Yeah, unless it's like Peter Sellers playing a Indian guy or something, and that's like they slap shoe polish on his face or something, and like that's what he ends up looking like. Our 7th grade shop teacher, Mr. White, is someone that me and my friends still talk about and the one thing that we quote him on is how he would pronounce mahogany. When he would be talking about the wood we'd be using for our salt and pepper shakers, he would say it like that. You can't use that basswood, you got to use that mahogany.
Wow, where was what was his name, Mr.
White?
Mr. White. Wow,
yes.
Pseudonym for Guy N. Smith was your
perhaps yes. Yeah. The same friend that I text every time I see a Clifton Collard Jr. movie. Me and him have a running impression of Mr. White saying mahogany.
Mahogany.
He might be saying. He might also be talking in that voice when he notices Ian's lady friend. What is her name? Julie, who has a slim, perfectly proportioned figure that had already caused many male holiday maker to glance in her direction. So we've got the coho romance language coming already.
She's slimness comes up a lot in this. We'll keep track of that. But many a male, I like that holiday makers only. Like locals are like, she's too slim. I like a little meat on the bone. But holiday makers are like, what? Tipping their glasses down.
And they talk about his Uncle Cliff, who they, I guess, work at his laboratory, and so they're on holiday, but they're supposed to be coming back Monday morning. And I wasn't sure if they were Welsh or if they were just vacationing in Wales, so it's hard to say whether they're using an utterly incomprehensible accent or not as they're saying all this dialogue.
Well, it's implied that they're not because later she says, "Oh, look at that. She's unfamiliar with it."
Oh, okay,
or something.
It. Look at that long ass town name on that sign that has 7 L's in a row followed by an H. Like that's.
I'll just read the anglicization of it, which is also printed on the sign in larger letters. But I hope this is what my nephews say about me. This is Ian talking about his Uncle Cliff. You're right, Ian sighed. Cliff is almost like a brother to me. And he's hip, too, to quote a modern phrase. I don't know that the word hip is a phrase, but okay.
Sure. And is it quite modern in 1976? I guess Guy Smith, as we said, did skip a couple decades, so maybe everything is new to him.
That's true. Like, I guess if he was at jazz clubs in the 20s and someone said, he's a hip man, he'd be like, that is quite modern, this phrase of yours.
Also, hopefully your nephews also say this about you. He may be one of the country's leading botanists, but he isn't 40 yet. One of the country's leading botanists? Is this Idaville we're talking about all of a sudden? He's the third most leading botanist in this town. Anyway, that was just I appreciated that as the way they established him as the character. You always got to refer to your uncle by his profession.
And then he goes on to prove his hipness. He says, "This is they're quoting him, I guess."
All right.
Have a good dirty week, he said, as I left on Friday night. I don't expect you'll be good, but try and be careful. Man, that is groovy. That is some groovy stuff. And it's hip.
Uncle Cliff is down. He's saying, "Yeah, baby,
Go
shag
get
that
her.
bird." Yeah.
Does she make you horny, baby? Well, he's hip.
And it turns out that Ian and Julie are engaged, so they're. It's not like he's just, yeah, you're going out with that bird you met at the pub last week. Yeah, have a good dirty week, shagging a rotten.
Really get in there, you know what I'm saying.
We might as well get ahead of it now, but Jeff wrote in. He said, obviously the question on every jackal's mind is who should play Uncle Cliff Davenport in the inevitable movie. He's tall, he's British, he has a receding hairline. Clearly, there's only one man for the job. And he guesses who he sent along. He sent along a picture of a famous character. I don't remember this guy's name, but I'm sure you know it.
Oh, a character, but not an actor? Because I was going to say,
well.
who's that guy? Oh, gosh, the British. He did the remake of. Oh, wait, you're sending it here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
He sent a picture of Chris Finch from the British Office.
Finchy.
You know, he's in the movies. The guy who did the new Nosferatu. He's in that.
Yes,
movies too.
he was in The Witch, the Vitch.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
he was good in that. Like just chopping wood with his shirt off. You know,
Yeah,
like,
throwing kettles over pubs.
Yes, Finchy.
So that's who we're going to imagine Uncle Cliff as going forward. Have a good dirty week.
So this is when I think they give away that they're not from there. After about 20 minutes, Ian slowed down as they approached the small village of Olenbidar. Excuse me, I don't know Welsh. And noticed a sign off to the left which read Mocris. That's Welsh for Shell Island, he shouted above the roar of the engine, and then they were turning off down an even narrower road.
Nice.
She's like, yeah, I know, I'm Welsh. I live here. That's Welsh for... Hey, we haven't learned that yet, but I assume they're not Welsh.
Yeah, we agreed where we were going for vacation, so it's very clear to me.
There's only one road. I know we're going this way.
I looked up some other Welsh town names. Bedfys, Bledfys, Blaunau, Festinog. And then there's that famous one that's like 70 characters long.
Yeah.
And fair, pluig, loggery, children, yanti, sililgi, go. Yep, that's a Sonic challenge. I should have issued it to you as opposed to trying to do it myself. And Jackson wrote in and said, before the actually guides get you about Welsh, LL is pronounced like HL. So land better is roughly Hlawn better.
Well, LL is pronounced like HL. Well, you know, DD is pronounced like XD. Come on, guys. Oh, okay.
Well, he said, I can't imagine how many jackals are going to come out of the woodwork to tell you you're wrong about where this is concerned, so you have my sympathies.
I'm sure everyone will come out. I've said, look, I am not Welsh. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. Welsh jackals are actually pronounced Hrackles. So that's the...
When I was in, this is years ago, but when I was in Ireland, they do that where, you know, if you speak Irish is a language, it's on all the signs for all the places. So, you know, like Dublin is probably 75 letters long, yeah. But then it just says Dublin. It's like, I'm just going to say Dublin if that's okay. Because I don't speak Irish.
So they go on to Shell Island. They notice a cordoned off barbed wire area, like a concentration camp from the last war.
Yes.
And they say that it's a place where the Army or Air Force is flying like drones, essentially, unmanned aircraft that they're doing. He says, no need to worry about that place. And I thought, oh, yes, I'm sure that's the last we'll be seeing of it.
Yes. And she also says, he tells the story about like some guys accidentally enter and they get, you know, roughed up by the secret police and everything. And, you know, like days without eating and, you know, beaten with rubber hoses and stuff. And she goes, sounds creepy. I don't know. I don't know if creepy is the word you're looking for there.
Yeah, save that for when the crabs emerge from the ocean.
I mean, they're not ghosts doing it. It's like the secret police.
Yeah. Ooh, as they hit you in the sack with a knotted rope to...
let's be honest, deep down, you want to do that to somebody someday.
Me and my friends used to play like
careful now.
We'd play like RBI baseball, and like the loser would get to a friend had a large like rawhide or for his dog, or like your belt, so the loser would get to do that to people. So I imagine if Casino Royale had come out and we'd known about the knotted rope thing, that could have been a punishment for that.
Okay, yeah, that sounds fair.
How about this? Here's a description of Shell Island. And just Shell, you have a question, I'm sure, that will occur to you halfway through this sentence. Shell Island was a veritable maze of narrow roads. My God. where are they going to park?
That sounds awful.
What might they do? The parking must be so limited. With ample parking spaces, the sentence continues. It just, my mind just sometimes wanders in the middle of these sentences. It's very tricky.
I was just telling somebody about, I drove in France. I was in a little village called Gigondas, south of France, and we were going into the next town over is like this perfect little, French village on the mountainside, and we drove to it, and I'm just relying on the GPS is just going, turn right. Okay, I got to. I ended up with our tiny rented car driving right into a cafe.
Oh my God.
Which was on the street, like my bumper touching the sandwich board, with the day's specials. And then behind me was a narrow arch that we couldn't get through, so the shop owners are coming out and like yelling at me. I'm just like, I'm a tourist. And then Bridget gets out of the car and is like having me back up out of the actual space. So
the utter nightmare.
It was narrow roads, but it did not have ample parking. So thank you, Shell Island.
That's where you need to just embrace it and get out of the road in a 10-gallon cowboy hat, a like patriotic Big Johnson tank top, and just be like, I'm an American.
I was cranking Kid Rock, and
yes.
Just like it was. What are you gonna do, partner?
Yeah. I don't know how I rented an F-150 in the Paris airport, but I somehow managed to. This was a question I had when they get to the beach, and then they go have a picnic, and then they emerge half an hour later clad in their bathing costumes. So was this 1976 or 1876 when they were emerging from here? I presume dressed like a strong man with the striped PJs.
I love that so much when all of a sudden bathing costume, and then I stop on that because it says, suits me. Ian glanced down at the front of his bathing costume. And I'm so happy at this.
Yeah.
And then it gets, I didn't know what it was getting to, but can you talk about bathing costumes and then the next sentence talk about, let's face it, ripping off boners?
Yeah. Yeah, he's looking at her in her bathing costume and being like, God, what a figure she had.
So slim. Mm.
Somebody might have a pair of field glasses and the watcher might be prudish. And then it goes on to just be like Julie, the water up to the top half of her bikini turned back to him. You can't drop two bathing costumes on us and then reveal that you're just talking about a bikini. Come on.
Yeah, his bathing costume, I assume, is fully made of wool.
Uh-huh.
Has two shoulder straps and is striped, right?
Yeah, that's when you search for 1920s bathing costume, it turns up like a guy who's reclining on the grand jeté type of thing. It's striped. Someone wrote in, they imagined it as, that the Hamburglar goes to the beach.
Yes.
So
that's a bathing costume. Isn't the, there was a lot of, what do you call it? There was controversy. I was going to say controversy because we're British. I'm sorry.
Sure. Yeah. Guy Smith would pronounce it that way.
When the first woman to swim like long distance, and she wore a suit that was not a bathing costume, and it was caused a scandal. They were like trying to arrest her as she was doing her swim or something like that.
I'm sure. The first woman to try to run a marathon had the same thing happen to her. A guy tried to tackle her off the course.
That is not a bathing costume, madam. I'm swimming for 17 miles. Could you give me a break here?
The wool is really dragging me down, man. Crabs, take me now. Well, the bathing also rears its head later as they're talking about, swimming.
Bathing.
But it's
1976. When we saw Jaws, remember when the woman and the guy, they left the party and went bathing?
Right. Where are you going? Bathing. Really? Okay. You have a loofah?
Right.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll wait here then, I guess, if you're going to be.
Do you want to borrow my Mr. Bubble? I think it's back up in the house.
If Jaws was made in 2025, she would go bathe, and then she would sell her bath water to pervs on the internet as they make soap out of it and sell it to people. Well, so it is. This is where it was revealed. He's lost sight of his fiancée. She's heading out to sea after a couple 100 yards, so they're getting pretty far out there.
Yes,
but he it's been 10 minutes, I guess. So yeah, it's he can't see her because we're far enough out to sea. She keeps going, and so he gasps aloud, "Stupid bitch! You'll be too far out." I mean, my beloved, my betrothed, my fiance. I did. That sort of just slipped out.
What? I just rose above the water. You were saying something? Oh, no. Was I?
No.
I don't think I was.
That bikini looks great on you, honey. It's,
He, before that, the reason they're swimming, as you remember, maybe there's a quiet cove where we can... Ian never heard the rest of the sentence. For the seductive smile, she dived backwards and began kicking out with her legs. Yes, he smiled to himself. Maybe there is a quiet little cove just around the headland where we can... ... So it took him twice to get that. She's like, hey, maybe we can... And he glances down at his bathing costume like, yeah, we should probably...
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna plug in the Grandpa No meter right about now.
Yes, exactly.
And just it's sort of starting to, it's like a Geiger counter. It's starting to beep 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 beep, beep as they're doing these type of things. He's glancing at her, and any man might want her really really badly. And Guy N. Smith was 38 when he wrote this, but spiritually he's a grandpa, so we're gonna allow it.
So right before he wrote the sentence where he says like, "Stupid bitch," he guessed. Which, by the way, I was not sipping anything during that. That was good. But did his wife come in? It was like, "Hey, I made you an omelet. Sorry, it's cold." Like, oh my God, tap 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 tap.
Yeah, the self-inserts are about to rear their head, but maybe these are things that we just didn't pick up on because we didn't know his home life.
Yeah, that's true.
It says he decided to, so he's lost sight of her, of his fiance / bitch. He breathed a sigh of relief. At least she's turning now, even though she had come too far out to sea. He decided to strike out diagonally and head her off. A faint stirring down in his bathing costume told him things were getting back to normal. Boop, 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 goes the meter.
I wrote that is probably one of my favorite lines in any book. That is something you can't... A faint stirring down in his bathing costume told him that things are getting back to normal.
That's like something out of Irene Isley, is what that is like. That's... And right before that, he thinks he's lost her. He's swimming desperately. The swell is getting stronger. No match for his chubster as we approach that, because I guess all it takes in the 70s was the sight of a girl in a bikini.
Well, don't you think that line would be? I'm assuming there's Downton Abbey fanfic. And shipping like crazy. That seems like a line in Downton Abbey fanfic. Lord Grantham or whatever his name is. Faint stirring in his bathing costume. Things are rather getting back to normal, I should say.
And then mere sentences later, there's no sign of Julie. It's empty. He yells desperately, a note of panic starting to creep into his voice. No word on how that affected the bathing costume, but you have to imagine that sends things back to zero pretty quickly on the Grandpa No meter.
Well, that brings me to my first Sonic challenge for you.
Oh boy.
Yep. He realizes they're in a swimming contest, which they probably shouldn't be in, right? She just takes off like during. Right. I don't swim. I sink. You swim, and you swam in the ocean, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. They were swimming around a point. I don't know how big the point is, but I'm assuming if you're talking about a point, it's a fairly hefty amount of swimming.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he discovers after like halfway there that, it's really shallow here. So he stands up. If I have bottom, I'm always walking, by the way. But so this is the Sonic challenge. He rested his feet on the sandy bottom and laughed, almost hysterically.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. You got it?
Yeah. I'm just...
Take a rest. Yeah.
Huh?
Do what you need to do. You're swimming. You're in. You're...
Julie?
Okay, that was almost hysterically.
It verged. It was approaching it, then it dialed it back as he did it. I guess I didn't really capture the water in your mouth and the panic of almost drowning. But
Well, what I really pictured as you did that was how wide and handsome your face was, but also how deep mahogany it was. What is wrong with you? All right, so they... I don't have any. They get snipped apart by crabs.
Yeah, he sees some ripples coming to him. He thinks it's Julie at first, but Guyan Smith does not beat around the bush. These crabs come. His whatever had a hold on his left leg could only be compared with a pair of garden shears with serrated blades, biting deeper into the bone with every second. There was no escape. That much was clear to him. Furthermore, he knew he was also going to die. As consciousness began to slip from his fear-crazed mind, he realized what had happened to his left leg. It had been amputated. Then he felt his right leg cracking. Mercifully, he lost consciousness. So there's none of this making people wait for this. He hits them with it in the halfway through the first chapter.
Yeah, he knows. I've got to type this dreck out. You know, Jaws, right? You were supposed to see the shark in the first minute, and then it didn't work, and so Spielberg had to adjust, and that's, wow, the terror is you never see the shark.
Sure.
What I appreciated about this, she blazed bright, but Julie Coles, we never really talk about Julie without saying her full name.
No.
I think we've talked about this. Have you ever had someone in your life where everyone just refers to them by their entire name for some reason? It's always funny. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just like, yep, just always say their full name. Julie Coles. Oh yeah, Julie Coles. You know Julie? Julie who? Oh, Julie Coles.
Oh, sure. Yes, quite familiar with her figure, too. Yes. Hang on. Great.
Slim, isn't it? Holiday makers, get out of here.
Yeah,
come on.
Quit talking to me about that. You know I'm wearing a bathing costume.
So then so they're dead. So we shift to Cliff Davenport.
Cliff Davenport, less than 40.
Yes, he's the hip professor.
One of the best botanists in the land. One of the. And in terms of what we just read of the crab attacking, which gets, pretty flowery and visceral in terms of it describing the violence, there were certain tasks that had to be attended to before Ian and Julie arrived at 9. Certain specimens from sea plants had to be removed from the glass tanks and allowed to dry before the next stage of discovering their nutritional benefits could be started. So he revs it up, and then it gives you time to catch your breath. That's the Guyan Smith touch by nutritional benefits of certain sea plants.
I was taken by this. He glances at himself in the mirror. Oh, in the water, a reflection of himself. At least he didn't think that he looked any older. So he didn't think that he looked any older.
Okay.
Older than what? I mean, we all get older, right?
Yeah.
Older than he did the day before? I guess that's not how I view my aging. I kind of go by months and years, baby. Yeah. But he didn't think that he looked any older.
Yeah.
Older than when he was 3? That would be odd.
Older than the second best botanist in town? I'm not sure. Not really a young man's profession when you think about it.
I find that odd. I didn't think that he looked old, I guess, is sort of that's vague too, but older than what?
I mean, he's thinking about his dead wife, so his eyes could steal a glimpse at like a photo of them, and he could not think he looks any older. But yeah, that's just how it's presented.
Mm-hmm.
So it provides some backstory. He had a dead wife. It also, the pipe drooping out of the corner of his mouth reminded him of the time when he had portrayed Sherlock Holmes in a local amateur dramatic society's presentation of the Speckled Band. So if you were curious who this character's standing in for, just remember that our author once smoked a pipe for an hour and 38 minutes.
And also, can you imagine if you were a holiday maker, you were like, I was checking out Julie Coles. Hey, honey, you want to go to this local amateur dramatic society presentation of the Speckled Band? It's there's no air conditioning. It's everyone's
Yeah.
dressed in tweeds.
Yeah, they're not actors. They're botanists, and then the guy who all his fellow lawyers say he's the funniest guy at the law firm. So,
And then you sit down and they're like, we present this in its original form. It will take 3.5 hours. We will skip the intermission because that will just take a longer time. So
I have
please enjoy
holidays to make, please.
the speckled band. Damn it. This chair is so small.
He is worried about where his nephew Ian is and his fiancee Julie. But then he's like, remember, he wished them to have a dirty old time or whatever, a dirty vacation. He's like, perhaps they had lingered over a last night somewhere and slept late as a result of it. But by lunchtime, he was becoming increasingly worried. No longer were sexual procrastinations uppermost in his mind.
Instead, his thoughts dwelt on road accidents. I mean,
Look,
I guess that's an upgrade. I don't know.
we know how it is, man. You hear me, right? Like it's either sexual procrastinations or road accidents are the two things we're thinking about.
Hey, our guests are a little late. There's only 2 possibilities.
Oh yeah, there are. Oh God, what if it's the second one? That'd be horrible. But it'd be so awesome if it was the first one.
And then I wonder if he thought to himself, gosh, I should have said, be careful, but if you can't be careful, name it after me. I got so many missed opportunities to be hip and groovy.
Yeah. And as a botanist, that is a deep concern of mine, that my nephew thinks I'm cool.
As one of the top botanists.
You sort of sacrifice any hope of that once you go into botany, I feel like, right? Like, you know, it's like you're not going to be showing up at Studio 54 and Twiggy is like, that's one of the top botanists in the area, Mr. Warhol.
Well, Bianca Jagger is bumping butts with you.
Yeah.
Botanist.
You take blow a line and be like, by the end of the year, I'm bumping off those other 2 botanists. I'm going to be the top one. I'm going to be the top one. Grace Jones is like, yes, we know. Let me rub your shoulders. Don't bite your tongue. Wait for it to calm down.
So this is Professor Davenport. Cliff Davenport. Yes, Cliff. Because then he mentions, he says, I'm really worried about Julie Coles and Ian Wright. Full names. But he goes to the police, correct?
I think they knock on his door. They do. The
they
standard,
come to his
like,
door. Okay.
They're taking off their hat as he answers the
Oh,
door.
yes.
So he sort of knows it. The thin-faced sergeant had an expression on his face that boded distinct ill tidings.
Oh dear.
This is your time to shine as a cop. Go into someone's door to have a face that bodes distinct ill tidings. You got to live for moments like that. It beats handing out traffic tickets.
Come in, gentlemen, please. Have a pipe? That's not how you pack a pipe. 10 minutes of that. You pack it this way.
Well,
If it's a flake, you fold it lengthwise like this. Don't rub it in your palm.
anyway, what was this about? Your nephew's dead. Pipe spit take.
Ian Wright and Julie Coles? That is correct, sir.
And yeah, they deliver him the news. They found Ian's MG. That they have no sign of them, and it says that he knew in his heart he would never see either Ian Wright or Julie Coles again.
Yes. And chapter 1.
Yep. And so, yeah, those are the 2 sort of fake out main characters. Chapter 2, Cliff Davenport. He's the main character. He did no work. He ate little. He consumed, on average, an ounce of tobacco a day. That seems like a lot to me.
I was questioning I know it is technically a consumable in that you use it. But is the word consumed what he's looking for?
Yeah. Is there a way that he's consuming it that might be a more normal way to phrase that, such as smoked? Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. There's just another term for it.
I guess it's more dignified.
Consumed. I know this is not how you're supposed to do this, and it's really going down hard, but I'm going to consume. I got to get an ounce of it every day.
That seems like it's your parents catch you smoking as a a teenager and then make you smoke the whole pack to wean you off of it. Maybe is that an ounce? I'm not sure. I
one time was at a does not speak well of me, but I won't name what it is. But I was at a thing where a bunch of guys were smoking pipes or cigars, and there was one guy who was not familiar with the thing, but he's like, "Hey, can I borrow a pipe?" And someone gave him a pipe, and then he picked up a pouch of tobacco, and it happened to be someone bought. There's a kind of tobacco that's used very, very sparingly in blends, and it's called Perique because it's super strong.
Perique the freak.
He smoked a bowl of Perique, and then he just wouldn't acknowledge that he was sick, and so he said very quietly, "Hey, do you have a bucket?"
Oh God!
The host is like, "Yeah, I guess I do. Here's one," and he handed him a bucket, and then he just quietly vomited into a bucket.
My
We're
God!
Like, what happened? And then we noticed that he was smoking a bowl of this stuff.
It's just super strong.
Yeah, it's like super, super strong. It's you blend it in with something else. You don't smoke it. So he didn't know that.
I sympathize. I have gotten the spins and the nausea from smoking tobacco too much.
It is awful. It is awful. There's
It
no
doesn't
relief
go
from
away.
it.
Yeah.
No, you can't. You like, I'll lay down. I'll feel better. Laying down is worse. Then you stand up and your world is spin. It's the worst. It's awful.
Well, that might be what Cliff Davenport is going through. It says until they're discovered, he would endure untold mental agony. So I just want people to put a pin in that and keep it in mind as we go forward with his journey, that he is, until they discover his nephew's remains, he's going through untold mental agony. Because it doesn't seem like pretty soon he's really focused on it too much.
This is something I think everyone should try. Grimly, he continued drinking his tea.
Oh, yeah.
So I think everyone should. Just as a challenge for you. We had a lot of challenges in the last book. This one is pretty simple. Just pour yourself a cup of tea in front of your significant other and grimly drink it. And see how long before someone goes, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, sort of just gripping the table with one hand, like downcast eyes. I thought was just a great all-purpose sentence. Like, slug that in to any other work of literature, and it would probably work pretty well for you.
This Earl Grey, I don't know.
That was because he's gone to Llambedr to check in on the nephew. That was another thing, just the Britishisms. The petrol gauge showed the tank was full. He could be in Llambedr by tea time. So that was just another reminder in this book of bathing costume boners and crab viscera that it is quite British still. Don't forget about that.
And to prove that we're Welsh, Jones is Welsh, correct? Mrs. Jones runs
Jones is the Airbnb, yes. Or the B&B.
Which I assumed I just pictured her as, who was Terry Jones in the Pythons?
Oh,
I believe he was Welsh, and I just pictured him in the costume. It'll have to be the attic room. I've got a house full.
Perfect.
So that's Mrs. Jones.
Yes, serving tea to the grim. I mean, when you look at pictures of Guy N. Pearce, he's also never like yucking it up. He's sort of grimly smoking his pipe, just staring at you with his weathered visage. So I think that if he were to drink tea, it would be grim as well.
And he was, in the picture, I think the only picture I've seen of him, he was smoking a pipe and wearing a deerstalker cap, correct?
Yes.
Deerstalker is the Sherlock Holmes. I don't think Sherlock in his stories ever wore a deerstalker cap, but
that's just
I believe that when someone did it on stage, they put the deerstalker on and people were like, yes. And he also smoked a giant calabash pipe, I believe, on stage, and so that's when you see Sherlock, a deerstalker and a calabash pipe.
Okay.
Which he never smoked in the story.
But in all the local amateur dramatic societies presentations,
correct,
they would have dressed up like that. Sure.
Yes.
So he takes his tea. He goes down to the beach, right, or the cove, to look into things.
Yes.
And just sort of has a bad feeling about all of this. And it says, it was a bright sunny morning. Had it not been for the sense of foreboding which clouded his mind, he would have entered into the spirit of a holiday maker. So he'd be sizing up Julie in her bathing costume, in her figure. That's the only spirit of a holiday maker we've seen so far.
That's how I make my holidays. I don't know what you do. But the sergeant, before he goes, he does say any bathing is dangerous. The sergeant stated adamantly. And that's true. That's why they put those like flowers on the bottom of the tub with the grippy things.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, isn't it true that like more people? I assume number one deaths are deep frying a turkey is number one.
Letting people, saying watch this before you put a firework on top of your head.
That's number two. Number three, slipping in the tub. And then I assume the top injury is let's go play some pickleball, I assume is number 4 on the list.
I did just have a friend tell me that they would not be able to play pickleball. I forget what my friend who had ACL surgery. Like he did not hurt at playing pickleball, but that was the doctor's big caution was do not go do that.
I think we went to a friend's like grandfather's funeral or something and met a bunch of people that we knew, and like half of them like wearing casts, and I was playing pickleball.
My friend Brian's wedding last summer, his dad was stumbling around because he had torn his ACL playing pickleball. Like,
you don't even move in pickleball. That's why I hate it. Anyway, I have a solid Sonic challenge for you.
Let's do it.
I might have to send it to you.
Okay.
Maybe you can find it in the book. It's when he's looking around. It's after he sees the kids building the sandcastle.
Okay, yeah, he sort of ignores that.
Yeah, to his left, some children were making sandcastles,
but he ignored
them. Well, I mean,
thanks for mentioning it.
To be fair, the kids were probably ignoring him too. What's that old guy doing? I mean, older than what? Said the other kid. All right, here's the Sonic challenge. My God, he gasped, so excited that the words poured out aloud. They're all along the tide line, claw marks. But what in the name of heaven could have left a print this size? It's like a crab, only dozens of them, and 100 times as big. All of that is out loud. Do you have it there?
Yep.
Okay.
Poured out aloud?
So excited.
My God. They're all along the tide like claw marks, but what in the name of heaven could have left a print that size? It's like a crab, only dozens of them and 100 times as big.
That poured out of you.
Yeah, just
all
like
right.
pouring a beer. Just
now so, eat half an ounce of tobacco and
So that is upon seeing a mark of some kind 3 feet long and nearly as wide.
Yes.
He sees that. Dozens of giant crabs.
Yes.
Is his go-to. And so this is something that happens often in the movies we do where someone will say that. They will leap to a conclusion that if you were on the beach with your significant other, your family, and your wife or your kids said, I bet that's a giant crab, you'd be like, I think we need to get you in. You've had enough sun. But the characters in the movies and books we always read leap to this conclusion, and it's always immediately borne out as correct.
Yeah, I mean, as you read it, you're like, that makes sense because this is called Night of the Crab. So yeah,
yes, exactly. Yeah, it has to be. But
there has to be another explanation. As you're seeing a mark in the sand, why would you leap to that? There's literally dozens of other things. And then there's like the kid making sandcastles is like, I got bored, so I'm making like crab marks in the sand.
I drug a stick along for a while, some driftwood. That's what that is.
My God, it has to be, but it can't. No, it's not. It's not. You see me doing it right here.
Yeah. All there is to do at the beach is make marks in the sand. So that is what I've been doing for the past 2 hours.
I'm also the kid that does all the crop circles, just to get that out of the way. I have a board and I step on it with my friend and we make crop circles.
But that's like if a crop circle was not an intricately designed Mayan calendar mark, but if it was a line. And so it's like, my God, these giant crabs must be everywhere. I just also wanted to mark that it says, a few hundred yards further on, the surface began to get softer. His walking boots squelched beneath his weight. Yet there was no hint of any quicksands. So does he walk down to Welch vacation beaches often expecting quicksand to be an impediment to vacationing? It seems like that would probably put a You'd read about that on TripAdvisor if you were going to a beach, if that was a real issue.
Also, can we how many listeners have ever encountered quicksand? Have you?
Yeah,
I never have.
No, it's.
I mean, it's in many movies.
Right.
Quicksand.
Roger Corman characters would encounter quicksand quite a bit, but it's not been something that's.
It doesn't seem like a thing, but all right.
It says that the tide comes in and covers up the marks, and he thinks now they're gone forever. If only he'd brought a camera, but now nobody would believe him now. And which is probably the case, even if you pointed at a 3-foot mark and said dozens of giant crabs made that, and they could still see it, they probably still would not believe you that it was dozens of giant crabs.
The sergeant would be like, "What am I looking at? What? You're kidding me, right? Is that sand? Is that That's your ass. Oh, how did that get in there?"
No, you see, a crab drug his claw there, and he was drawing a picture to impress the other giant crabs. Then he buried his buddy in the sand and put a giant pair of crab boobs on him made out of sand. The crabs must have a sense of humor. That's why they built that.
Then he did the mermaid thing on the end of the crab, and I don't have a picture of that.
And then he sees 2 of the giant drones, the unmanned aircraft, go over and says, he wondered if that could have anything to do with the strange markings of the sand. A new type of undercarriage that made landings feasible on soft ground, marshes, and beaches. Yeah. That maybe should have been what you thought before you thought dozens of giant crabs were marking up the sand. I don't know. Let's spitball some ideas here.
Giant crabs. That's it. Remember also, it's in the abstract, right? He has not seen one, or
he's not seen one.
He's seen one. He's not heard of one. People aren't like, "Hey, if you go down to Shell Island, be careful of the giant crabs." Ha ha ha! You idiot.
Yeah. He did encounter a quint who was like, "They came when I was a boy. They come every time Jupiter is in ascension or something, and they'll come again." But that crazy old man says everything.
What a nut burger.
He's not a marine biologist who has been studying crabs. He's a botanist, so he's been trying to extract some nutritional value out of monkshood root or something. So again, that could have been a way to tie that in instead of an unforced error.
Do you think he became a botanist so that he could develop a hybrid tobacco or something that made his life a little better?
I must be able to smoke this longer. I've got to beat that handsome man who keeps showing up to the British pipe smoking competition and winning every year.
1 ounce.
It did say that at the pipe smoking they gave you 3 grams, which is I think there's 28 grams in an ounce. So Guy and Smith is like, "You want me to smoke that?" I smoked that and watching an episode of the Vicar of Brickage.
By the way, when you go to isn't the minimum amount if you go to a bulk tobacco store is 2 ounces, I believe. Okay. At least in the U.S. I don't know what it is in the U.K. 2 ounces is this should last you a while, then you'll be back. So an ounce a day. I mean that's a lot.
Knocking on the door. That's like when a liquor store guy, you get worried about your customers when they stop showing up. They say, Guy and Smith hasn't been banging on the door before we open in a week. I hope he's okay.
So he goes to investigate the strange place that's sending up the drones, which are just regular aircraft, but they're pilotless.
Yeah, so maybe that was a new thing back then or something.
Maybe. Were they doing that? I don't know. But this is a point where I noticed, first of all, he has a lot of tinglings in his spine.
Okay.
At least 3 of them as he examines this area. But here's what he says. He gets captured by the guys, right? I don't have a lot of notes for this. Do you?
Yeah, his spine tingled again. If those crab-like prints on the sand had not been made by one of his pilot crafts, then there could only be one answer.
Well, he's going, I guess Sherlock Holmes was mentioned. He's going, once you have eliminated all possibilities, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
There you go. And improbable is what I would focus on if I were anyone he's telling that to. But yeah, keep going.
So he gets captured by the 2 guards. His binoculars, by the way, are a big part of this. He has really good binoculars, apparently.
Yeah, so we can look at the undercarriage of the uniforms, which made me snicker because I am 7.
Right. So they take him. They were heading towards a concrete building that stood apart from the main block. It was completely square and flat-roofed, rather like the kind of Foreign Legion detention blocks which one sees in the movies. That's my question for you. How many Foreign Legion detention blocks have you seen in movies, would you say? Just give me a back of the envelope. How many?
Oh, who was the guy? Was that Rudolph the Sheik? Was he? Did he make Foreign Legion movies? Rudolph Valentino.
Valentino, the lover.
Okay, so I've never seen any of those, but I
yes. So we're at 0.
But I have read a lot of the comic strip Croc, which portrays the adventures of the French Foreign Legion. So I'm just envisioning one of the very hastily drawn places that Croc hangs out in as I'm picturing this facility.
I guess mine is when I was a kid and saw Laurel and Hardy, and they joined the Foreign Legion to get over a woman. So I guess I don't know how it differs from any other square prison building, but whatever. Like you've seen in so many movies.
But yeah, so that maybe, obviously, an old soul is writing the book, so maybe he's just like, this is a universal touchstone, right? As kids are watching Star Wars rather than read Night of the Crabs. But I also just appreciate it because it's a Kleinian touch of just being like, you know how it was in the movie, right? Imagine that. That's, I'm not going to describe it to you. Just think of the other things you've seen. And he does that more than once. It's pretty hilarious.
But he thought it was so good that he mentioned it again. It's the end of the chapter. Boyhood dreams of the Foreign Legion suddenly started to become reality.
Boy.
What?
Right. And again, this character is only 37, I think, in this. 38. Yes. Like close to the age of Guy N. Smith when he wrote this. But so he dreamed of joining the Foreign Legion. He would have been born as World War II was ending, I guess. I don't know. I guess they made it seem there's probably pulp books about the Foreign Legion too, right? Like the things that are like Boy's Life comics about them. Cub Scouts would have been into that type of thing.
I'm just trying to think of even one movie that I've seen. I mean, I think even
what is Lawrence of Arabia? Was that World War II?
No, that's him. That's what's his name? What's his first name? Something T.E. Lawrence.
Oh, right? Damn it. Yes.
T.E. Lawrence and he returned there many times. So it's like an epic. So it scans a bunch of time. I think it's his entire life of T.E. Lawrence. But Foreign Legion detention blocks. I'm trying to even think like Papillon, the movie about the guy who was in French prisons. I don't even think they were Foreign Legion prisons. So I can't even think of one movie. But
well, a friend of the podcast, Josh Frulinger, does the comics curmudgeon, and every time Croc comes up, he's been focused on for probably 20 years at this point, that this is a comic that started well after the Foreign Legion became a touchstone of things, and it is still going today, as that is just beyond the realm of what anyone can even... It started when it wasn't a thing, and it has become even less of a thing then.
We just did a movie called Party Line.
Uh-huh.
And the theory of it was that you called into a party line and had sexy talk with people. But the term party line is like, that's Mayberry. Remember when the guy has to like, I'm trying to make a business call, and well, you can use the party line.
Yeah, the least sexy.
So this movie that's supposed to be like, wow, he's calling into a party line. Everyone watching is like, what's a party line? What are you talking about?
Yeah, so I had the reverse experience of that. It's just growing up and being like, knowing that these sexy party lines existed where you dial 976 boobs or whatever, and then but then when my dad would be like, yeah, before they ran the lines to everyone's house, you just had a party line, and be like, hoo, 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 hoo. Be like, no, you'd call, and there'd just be like these old widow Werner would be sitting. All she'd do was sit on the party line all day, waiting to eavesdrop as you tried to reorder your work medication or something from the pharmacist.
Right. She talks to her cousin every Sunday for about an hour, so you can't call during that time on the party line.
Oh, yeah, hot party line action.
Oh, all right. So, foreign legions.
Yes.
Imprisonment centers.
Let's do chapter 3, but before that, why don't we do some real or fanfic?
Fanfic. Real, fanfic, real, fanfic, 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 real, fanfic, real, fanfic.
All right, this is Real or Fanfic, the beloved segment by our jackals, and maybe not so much by Mike, even though you did well last time, where you're going to try to tell 5 segments of prose, whether they came from later in Night of the Crabs by Guy N. Smith, or whether they are fanfic written by our diabolical jackals over on patreon.com/372 pages. I don't think we've done a full episode since we did a 280 Mysteries Encyclopedia Brown with Ken Jennings, Jeopardy host and legendary contestant. That's only on the Patreon, so go and get it. It was amazing.
I wonder if he could be better at real or fanfic than I am. You know, one of the smartest men in the world. Could he figure it out?
I mean, I'm willing to venture that if you say, could he be better at you than blank, the answer would probably be yes.
All right.
Yeah,
I'll concede that.
I meant you, meaning me. I don't know. You probably are better at it in some things, but real or fanfic, I bet he could, as like a puzzle solver, I bet he could pick up on some of the tells and stuff like that.
Yeah, Encyclopedia Brown style.
But you guys sort of solved the Encyclopedia Brown mystery together, as I recall. It was
That's
real,
true. Yeah,
Holmes and Watson working
there's been a few where we've had an assist. I think the one with Craig Finn, right? Mm-hmm. An assist.
Yeah, it was.
We both got one aspect of the puzzle that fit together and solved the whole thing.
So, yeah, as long as the children who were reading these as 10-year-olds had another partner who was decades of lived experience, exactly, then no problem. What's the big idea? Anyway, that's at patreon.com/372 pages. We appreciate everyone who supports it. Here is number 1. Pat, run! Pat Benson turned on her heels and bolted toward the hangar door. Cliff Davenport depressed the launch button and made to follow her. The clickety-clack of hungry doom began pouring through the doors behind as waning shouts and gunfire echoed in the distance. The unmanned aeroplane, with its wheels now firmly locked in place, began to whine under the strain of its jets until an almighty explosion detonated, sending legs and crab viscera in all directions. Cliff Davenport wrapped his arm around the waist of Pat Benson as they made their escape. "Quickly, to the boat," Cliff Davenport said as he dove for the hole in the fence. Crawling through the fence and onto the beach sand, they stood, only to meet the cold steel of a dozen rifles pointed at them. The expressionless face of Cliff Davenport's interrogator greeted them. "It would seem, Professor Davenport, that you have discovered the real reason behind this WD installation. Unfortunately for you, we won't be making another call to Whitehall." It was the last thing Major Bexley ever said, as a huge set of pincers raised him into the air and scissored him in two.
Well, how am I supposed to know? That's got everything. Pat Benson? Is that her name?
Pat, yeah, so that character's not been introduced, but,
Yes. She's
about to come.
Full name, too, which is also good. She's at Mrs. Jones' boarding house, she is. Pat Benson. Gosh, I don't know. I'll say real.
Okay. Number 2. "Gentlemen," Greasydale stood up and addressed the gathering. "Last night this town suffered an attack far worse than anything it has ever experienced in its history. We had anticipated a move of this sort ever since the invasion of Shell Island. The precautions taken were, it seemed beforehand, perfectly adequate. However, we had underestimated the enemy. It now appears that they are immune to the weapons of warfare. Nor, it seems, do they fear fire. There is, therefore, only one course open to us. We shall take immediate steps to locate their underwater hideout, and once this has been discovered, I have no doubt that they will be unable to survive the charges we shall explode beneath the surface of the sea." "You mean a nuclear device of some sort?" a reporter asked. "I said nothing of the kind," Greasydale retorted.
Greasydale?
Grisedale.
Wow. Really quick, we were neighbors with the...
I thought I remembered this when I read that.
The daughter of the Greasy Dick beer empire, which They produced Falstaff beer, but they also produced their own name branded beer, Greasy Dick beer.
Briefly, yeah. So, cracking ice cold Greasy Dick.
I was always asking her, "Can I please get a case of that?" So I don't think I have any left of Greasy Dick beer. I don't know. Wow, that seems possibly real, but I can't say two real in a row. But I'm going to. What the heck?
There is a picture on the Greasy Dick beer Wikipedia page of Harry Carey doing a sponsored show for them. Speaking of a guy who went from 20 to 60, Harry Carey. But just imagine.
Carey.
This is going to be brought to you by Greasy Dick beer. I've had a couple of Greasy Dicks in my day.
When you think Greasy Dick, think of me.
He's kissing her on the strikes, and she's kissing him on the Greasy Dick.
On the Greasy Dick. Harry, no. That's why we only bring you in for one inning.
All right, so real, number 3. Oh, I intend to once you've recovered a bit, she responded, first looking into his eyes and then allowing her gaze to roam down his chest and stomach and settle below his waist. Cliff took a big gulp of tea, not quite able to think of any other response. How do they do it? Pat asked innocently. Who now? The crabs. With all their impenetrable armor, how do they procreate? Yes. She turned back to hold Cliff's gaze. Well, they molt, he sputtered, and then found a mental foothold. They outgrow their shells and break through from the inside. When the female crab emerges from her shell, the male is able to inseminate her. He then stays to protect her and the eggs until she is able to regrow a hardened shell. How noble, Pat said, unbuttoning the rest of her shirt. And would you do the same for me? That's it, Davenport exclaimed. I have to call Commander Greasydale.
All right, so everyone read ahead and found Greasy Dale.
Maybe you've talked about the Greasy Dicks before.
Oh, no. I don't know. Fanfic?
Okay. Number 4. His rifle came to his shoulder. They wouldn't have much answer to that. He squeezed the trigger. The report was deafening, echoing around the concrete buildings and dying away somewhere far out to sea. He couldn't believe it. The bastard hadn't budged. Wrong. It was coming towards him. They were all coming towards him, waddling, not hurrying. He fired again, twice, 3 times. He kept on shooting until the magazine was empty. Run! He turned. His heart nearly gave out. He felt his senses reeling. It wasn't the fact that his retreat was cut off. That would have been bad enough. It was the creatures barring his way that caused him to cross over that thin borderline which separates sanity from madness. He screamed at the top of his voice, wielding his rifle by the barrel. The stock smashed to matchwood on that armor-plated pincer. He backed away, and then he started laughing. He adopted a fighting pose, his fist clenched. All right, he yelled. Come on then, you bastards. Let's see how good you are in a straight fucking fight. Mercifully, the slashing claw of King Crab caught him directly on top of his head, splitting the skull in 2. He was dead before he hit the ground and escaped the torture that Bartholomew had suffered as he was dismembered.
Wow. So Charlton Heston fought him with a skull.
Come on, you bastards.
Listen, you. Is man still making war against crabs?
And he was putting the dukes up like old Jack Johnson and wearing one of those striped fighting costumes.
I went 3 rounds with John L. Sullivan. Isn't that what we just had in our last movie?
Time Cop,
Time Cop, yeah.
I watched Tyson beats Vince on TV.
Yes. Great joke. Boy, I don't know. I'll say real. I'm going heavy on the real on this one.
All right.
It's just hard.
And number 5, last one. Pam Benson crouched on the floor near Cliff, hugging herself in terror. Mrs. Jones's house had begun to perceptibly tilt and sway. I don't believe it, said... Sorry not to read it. I don't believe it, said Cliff Davenport aloud. It should be impossible! But he had to admit it. The crabs had found a way to attack even the highest story of the house. From what Cliff could see, the crabs had devised a system of clambering over each other to form a sort of ramp ladder. The sound of breaking windows and screams from guests on the lower floors pierced the air. Cliff had felt sure he and Pam would be safe, if nowhere else, at least in the attic room. But the racket of massive crab claws and shells scraping against the house came even higher and closer. Clickety-click, clickety-click. They're too big to really enter the house, Cliff began to reassure Pam, but he was interrupted by an explosive crash. A set of pincers nearly as wide as the window frame thrust through, sending shards of glass flying inwards. My God, Cliff explained as Pam gave a wrenching sob and clung to Cliff's leg. Cliff Davenport recovered his poise and grimly gazed into the monstrous eyes of King Crab himself.
Wow, King Crab. I'll say fanfic.
Okay.
These are all coin toss.
They're all, yeah.
There's no tells.
I had some very good ones. We also had a very good one that someone submitted that just you would have guessed as fanfic, but it involved they were doing desperate German weapons at the end of World War II, and they ended up putting Hitler's brain into the mind of King Crab, and so that was who was. Nice. I thought you might sniff that one out, but yeah, good B movie here. Here we go. I think you did pretty good. Number one was he escapes, but then King Crab scissors Major Bexley in two. He's trying to start the plane. It sounded like you said real for that, but that was fanfic written by Hayden.
Damn,
Papa Hayden. Number two. This was a reporter. Did the reporter ask if they mean a nuclear device? And he says, I said nothing of the sort. You said real for that. That was real. Okay. Also submitted by Hayden and Daniel.
Okay.
Number three was Pam. Was it Pam? Pat
Benson.
Pat Benson, Pat Benatar, asking how the crabs procreate and asks if she'll do the same for him. You said fanfic for that. That was fanfic written by Chap.
Nice.
So two for three. Number four was John L. Sullivan putting the Dukes up to see how the crabs will do in a fight. You said real for that. That was real, written by Chap, submitted by Chap also. And then the crabs making a ramp ladder up to the top floor of the boarding house to burst in the door. Here's Johnny style. You said fanfic for that one. And that was fanfic written by Katie.
Wow.
4 out of 5.
Not bad.
First episode of Night of the Crabs fanfic.
Wow. It is tough because all you have to do is, just say their names and, picture a terrible B movie and Bob's your uncle. You're done.
Yeah, exactly. It sounded like there's different characters, different perspectives. That guy
Greasy-Dale.
Greasy-Dales.
Nuclear bombs. I'm excited.
And here, just as a pet peeve, pincers, Pincer,
correct, to
mean the claws you pinch people with. Call them pinchers. Come on, like we can add the H in there. This is English. We can do whatever we want.
Pincers. And by the way, if you look at the crab on the cover, I don't know if this is correct, but look at the crab on the cover of the book. Those crab's claws don't look like they could scissor anyone in half.
Ha.
They just look like they can pinch at the ends.
It is funny.
Pick something up. I don't know. I'm not a crab aficionado, but
that they give you no human or anything for reference there.
They also do they cross like scissors cross, or
right,
I don't know.
Otherwise,
or do they pinch? I don't know. Have you ever have you ever put a crab on your ear or something as a joke? And then it's like, this is not funny. I've done that with crawfish, of course.
Oh, wow. What do you do to get them to release?
Nothing. They will hang on forever. So then when you pull them off, then it's worse because, as it gets towards the end, then the little pinchers scissor the ends of your ear.
Gosh.
So don't do it is my advice.
As a joke. No.
Yeah.
Chapter 3. Cliff Davenport is in prison. He says maybe it was all a dream. Secret aircraft bases, giant crabs. There are no giant crabs at the moment.
That's what I wrote. This is all on you, man. What are you talking about? Could it be? All of this, the aircraft, yeah, those are real. Guys like picking me up and putting me in a foreign
Secret
legion
police.
prison. Yes, that is real. Giant crabs? Wait, what? You're the only one saying that.
If he was saying that to a fellow prisoner or something, can you believe it? What are you in for? You discovered the giant crabs too? The what now? No, I'm a German spy. I also like this. He mentions it a couple times. He seems hung up on whether you can see your watch at night. It says, the face of his watch was not luminous, so he had no means of knowing what time of day it was. So maybe they had just invented like the first watches that had a light up or a indiglow type of thing. So
It's
he
in
felt
76? No, they had luminous dials back. Unfortunately, they used radioactive material.
Oh, nice.
And
Nice,
everyone
yeah.
died who had them. But still, they had them for a long time.
It's just funny that he felt the need to address that, as if all the readers of the book about Attack of the Night of the Crabs were going to be like, well, clearly he'd be able to. This is unrealistic. He'd have a luminous watch face and we'd know how long.
He notices the things around his room. Coconut matting lay on the floor. Filing cabinets were ranged around the walls. And a large mahogany desk dominated the centra, spelled in the British way. So the same color as his nephew's face, I guess, with the desk.
He just breaks into tears thinking about his nephew every time he sees him.
It was so wide and handsome.
God. So weather-beaten and careworn.
I can picture his bathing costume right now and the stirrings down below.
The mahogany desk is in the office of a well-built, totally bald, with a clean-shaven face, which reminded the botanist of the typical Gestapo chief portrayed in films and books of World War II. So another movie comparison to let the reader know what kind of guy you're dealing with here.
Yes, he was the person who brought him was a tall man with a clipped mustache.
Interesting.
I mean, doesn't everyone... I guess I saw a guy the other day, I think it was at the airport or something, who did not have a clipped mustache, where the mustache goes well over the mouth. So that's all you could think about is like, come on, man.
Yeah. You filter krill with that thing? Come on.
Clip that. You're not a walrus.
Yeah, maybe early teens Giants reliever Brian Wilson, who was on those World Series teams, who just had the most hideous unkempt beard possible, might qualify.
Oh, did he have the neck beard?
Yeah, he just never trimmed it. Just awful.
I was thinking about this the other day that I want to, maybe it's because of the movie we're writing, that I want to just grow the beard like an Egyptian and then wrap it, but just have this and then shave the rest of my face and then just
Jesse
walk around.
Ventura, kind of?
Well, no, fully, with the gold or whatever, however the...
Got it.
So it's down here. It's a beard, but it's covered in like gold and onyx or whatever they did. And then just walk around with it and see what people say.
Yeah, we're running out of affectations that haven't been already affected, so you're going to have to dig deep, and that could be a good one.
And then when people say like, "Oh, like Egyptian kind of thing," I'd be like, "Huh? Who's that now? What are the Egyptians?"
I have no interest in that culture.
All right. I have a Sonic challenge for you.
All right.
He's brought into the other office by the guy who looks like he's from a movie. Somebody behind him was trying hard not to snigger.
Okay.
Got it?
Okay.
So you couldn't see his face. This is only Sonic. This is
okay.
So it could not be more.
Him hearing it.
It's him hearing it. He can't because it's behind him, so he can't see him.
Got it.
He's trying hard not to snigger.
All right. So yeah, listening at home, you'll be able. If you're watching the video, you will see my face. But
have you ever sniggered before in your life?
No, I try to avoid it. It just you start going down the road
G-G-E-R,
with that
not
word.
snicker.
It's unfortunate.
Snigger.
I don't like. Yeah, it's not snicker.
Yeah,
is
it's
right
not
there
something
for
we
everybody.
use
anymore. Come on, we can. So yeah, I don't think I have, but I've definitely been trying to hold in a laugh at things. So let's see how this goes.
Okay. Yeah, you were trying really hard.
I'm not sure how that conveyed on the microphone. Sometimes Zoom filters out some of the noises that it perceives to be things you don't want your coworkers to hear. So if any of that came through, hopefully. But I did some sputtering, little snorting. That's how I snigger.
Yeah, it filtered out. Then your kid came through banging a drum during your meeting. It filtered that out. Okay, that was good.
Yeah. While he's he's thinking about what he's going to say to these people. He's like, he checked the reply. He's like, why were you so interested in our planes? He checked the reply that was at the top of his tongue. Hell, he couldn't start raving on about giant crabs. It's like, yeah, this is the first time it's dawning on him that perhaps what he's thinking is ridiculous.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever you do, please don't say that. You have zero evidence. You have a thing in the sand, like literally a kid dragging a stick through the sand.
You saw it once and was washed away by the tide. Like, they didn't even find your nephew's foot washing up on the shore or anything like that.
But so after the person tries desperately not to snigger, someone comes in.
The head honcho.
Yeah, the man in the gray suit.
Yeah.
Stroked his chin.
He is sort of asking him if he has anyone who can verify his story.
Yeah.
He says, yep, you could call Sir Ronald Bradley of Whitehall, who I think is pretty much one of your guys who goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Like that's
who are you talking about? I don't know. I like that he goes like, that's really a flex as you're being, like you're chained to a chair or whatever, you have no pants on and they're about to hit you with a knotted rope.
The rope is being knotted.
Like, I must refer you to Sir Ronald Bradley of Whitehall, who is a personal friend of mine. I take it you've heard of him? Yeah. That's a real one.
Yeah, that's where you get the one or two rope swings in there, but then be like, yeah, we're going to tell everyone that we made this call after he had beat him up.
Yes. First of all, what if you haven't,
Right.
That's kind of like what we do for a living, like riff tracks. People are like, no, really skeptical. Like, what is this now? I don't want to have to explain it. We do this movie thing. I got the other day, I got this one. So is this like a hobby or something?
Oh, nice.
I was like, yes, I do this just to amuse myself.
Yeah, I've familiarized myself with the lesser works of Mark Polonia just because it's something I enjoy.
Yeah. I take it you've heard of me.
Skeptical yet aggressive.
Yes.
Disbelief. Well, I'm sure that everyone reading this book just either nodded to themselves or spit-taked when they read this, because the head honcho, once he drops the name of Sir Ronald Bradley of Whitehall, decides that he needs to dial the phone. He says, the receiver of the telephone on the desk was lifted, and a long, slender forefinger began to dial. So for perhaps the 28th time out of the 34 books we've read here, a long finger has been featured, and the universe continues to possibly be pulling a long, intricate con on us and the listeners of this podcast.
I was trying to think, like, okay, if before we had ever done this podcast and you were like, okay, you're going to read a whole lot of terrible books, what will be the unifying thing? Yeah. I'd be like, I don't know. If I had to guess, I think they probably will use the term "he awoke with a start." Would
right.
be probably used a lot or something, or
misspelled words, or
but low on, and if it was then, it was a checklist, and like, what about the someone in the book has long, slender hands or fingers? I'd be like, what? No,
weird.
That's strange. Obviously, that's not the thing that unifies all these. Why is that? Is that a thing?
It's just
Is it easy to write? There must be something there must be a matrix from which this came, correct? That someone was reading books and someone in some book had long, slender hands. And people were like, that's the thing I took away from this book. When I write my book, you'll be damn well sure I'm going to include long, slender fingers in it.
Yeah, if Frankenstein had them or something, or any other, if it was in the Count of Monte Cristo, just a book that every kid read and sort of. But I can't imagine it would. I had never noticed it before the podcast, and now I see it everywhere. So it's just I don't know why it would stand out to you, even if it wasn't a formative book you read.
I don't know. And it's not, Bader Meinhof, where you hear of something and then like, wow, that's everywhere. Yeah. This is in our books. And it is a strange thing, right?
Yeah, it's deeply strange. It's not something you notice in real life. It just is not, unless it's really egregious, I suppose you might, but I don't know. It continues to be just incredible, and so everyone was delighted when they discovered that.
Wow. I mean, bathing costumes, sure, throw them in my books. I think that's weird, but long, slender fingers, not a thing I know.
So they throw him out. After he places a call to Davenport, I think was his name. They say, "Yep, you're free to go. Don't. We better not let you catch us. Let us catch you."
Sir Ronald Bradley talking about Mr. Davenport.
Got it. Cliff Davenport is the guy. Sir Ronald Bradley gave him the all clear.
Of course, I know him.
And then
I vouch for him 100%. Yes.
But by the way, did you sense that as you dialed my phoning device that your finger was quite long? Is that deception correct there, Mr. Gestapo?
I'm taking this call while putting on my bathing costume, mind you.
All the holiday makers will be staring at the sight of me.
Yeah, it's quite striped, quite wool. All right.
Cliff gets outside and is like, oh, you know what? Maybe I imagined those claw prints along the tide line after all. Maybe a band of foraging gulls had disturbed the stand. And once again, yes, that's probably what happened. Why didn't that occur to you the first time you saw it instead of giant crabs?
Claw prints. Is that a thing?
I mean, a sea turtle who had crawled out of the thing to lay its eggs. Those leatherbacks have some pretty big fins that make some marks in the sand. I don't know.
I guess so. I mean, we've all, if you've ever been with someone who's a real woodsman and they're like, oh, this is a whitetail. You're like, yeah. It's just a hoof. No, it's the distinctive track of a whitetail.
Yeah. And yeah, you trust them because why would you act like you knew what you were doing? But if they were like, this is a giant crab mark in Yellowstone National Park, really? Huh.
Excuse me? All right.
So he returns to the Mrs. Jones's boarding house.
Yes.
And she's like, go and share a table with Mrs. Pat Benson. And he says his eyes were already on the dark-haired petite girl who sipped tomato juice with a wistful expression on her face. I get wistful when I have tomato juice. I can relate.
And then it describes her.
Yes.
What?
Grandpa no meter.
What is yeah, okay, get the meter. It's hovering, it's bouncing. She was wearing a cotton blouse. Okay, shouldn't be talking about her blouse. Above a tartan skirt. And he saw the outline of her small, firm breasts. It wasn't often these days he noticed such things. He put her age at about 25.
Yeah, it's tipping over midway, I would say. Tartans, that's like the classic, schoolgirl uniform, right? Isn't that like the plaid skirt?
Yes, it is.
Wow. Yep. If you Google tartan skirt, you do not get normal tartan skirts. You get people modeling them for that thing. So yeah, we've got. She's 25. Our guy is 37, I think. So the self-insert continues to pay dividends here.
By the way, there was. I'll say this as a parenthetical. There was a song. Well, it still exists. It was an R&B song called Me and Mrs. Jones, about a guy, the singer, having an affair with Mrs. Jones.
Okay.
We've got a thing going on.
Nice.
And it was popular when my wife, her name is Jones, so Mrs. Jones was her mother. So everyone was singing it to her. Like, shut up.
Wow. That's
we got a thing going on. Shut up. Yeah. So that's what I'm also picturing with Mrs. Jones here. So.
She had it rough because at least there'll never be another popular song that will have people warbling it to me at the top of their lungs. Mrs. Jones and me.
Oh, God.
And then she gets over that. It's like, well, at least there'll be never anything that's even more specific about my name that's going to haunt me for the rest of my days. And then Renee Zellweger comes along. Bridget Jones's Diary.
My wife's name is Bridget Jones. That was her Nay Jones.
Yes.
And someone sent when Bridget Jones' Diary came out, because she was one of those people that people called by her full name. Bridget Jones.
Oh, nice.
You're here.
Okay. Oh, dear.
And so we suddenly started getting in the mail like T-shirts and books, and people writing us and calling and going, I can't believe you finally wrote this. She's like, what are you talking
Wow.
about?
They thought that she just published her own diary like Sam
That is
Pepys.
correct.
Like,
I have T-shirts in my closet that say, I'm married Bridget Jones. And stuff.
oh, my God.
You know?
Sometimes it's just refreshing to know that we've always been sort of dumb as people. Like,
Yes.
there must be one of these people out there. And even though it's a fictional character, I assume it's about the person I know.
You can see it right on the book. It's not written by. You assumed she did that? Anyway.
So he sits down next to this, we just might as well say she's a hot 25-year-old chick. And he immediately starts telling her that he spent the day in the French Foreign Legion brig. He says that maybe the plane was a decoy. Maybe they were expecting someone in particular to show an interest in it, and I happened along and blundered right into the trap. So he, again, makes a gigantic leap of faith and logic in terms of what just happened to him. Like, if I was examining a military base through binoculars and got arrested for it, I'd be like, I got arrested because I was examining a military base through binoculars, not they had set a plane decoy out as a trap, hoping I would stumble into it. And after he's explained to him that, then he tells him that his nephew and fiance are missing and presumed dead.
Yes. Which she admits is terrible, but oh, how terrible, she paused, a biscuit spread with cheese halfway to her mouth.
I too noted that.
All right. Now we know biscuit means something different in the UK, right? We are firmly in the UK. What to you is a biscuit? For the UK, not for yourself. If you're imagining a biscuit, when someone says, Mrs. Jones says, may I offer you a biscuit?
I would anticipate a cookie, yellowish cookie that is sort of the worst cookie you could imagine. Just the dry and no sugar in the frosting. Yeah.
A tin of biscuits. Something crunchy and sweet and horrible. I looked it up. Okay. Biscuit refers to a sweet, flour-based baked food item that is typically hard and flat.
Baked food item.
Okay, so she's got a cookie spread with cheese. There are spreadable cheeses, but what is it? Is it that, what is that? There's a spreadable tub of like this Wisconsin cheese they serve at bars. You know,
pub cheese.
Yeah, pub cheese, port wine cheese. I suppose brie at a certain point is spreadable. So she's eating a cookie with a big smear of brie on it.
She's not eating it. It's halfway to her mouth because he just told her that his nephew is dead. I was curious when she started spreading this cheese. Was it during his lengthy story and rambling about maybe the plane was a decoy? Did she sense once that stopped, did she sense a potential in and quickly spread it before he started talking about the dead nephew, and that's when she got it halfway to her mouth? But I just want to eat this damn biscuit with cheese.
Well, maybe she noticed it halfway to her mouth and went, what the hell am I doing? A cookie with cheese on it?
I was so distracted that I put mayonnaise on my pie. Oh.
Damn. Mustard and ice cream? What am I doing? Okay, so all right. I wasn't wrong about that. I believe technically a biscuit can be like a cracker, technically, but that is not what anyone understands it as. So
we're going to get actually, mate, British jackals will be writing in.
Yes.
The Frackles. Then Pat says, out there today, I saw some marks. They look like crabs, only, well, the size of them. If they had been crabs, they'd have to be the size of, I don't know, sheep. And he goes, my God. And he blanched and his knuckles became bloodless as he gripped the edge of the table. So I was right after all. So we must be country rubes, because every single person who sees these marks identifies them as enormous crabs. So maybe we just are not up on our crustacean marks, because it seems pretty obvious to everyone who sees them.
The sorts of tracks they make in wet sand, the imprints of their pincers. Mm-hmm. Okay. The size of, I don't know, sheep is kind of that seems like a catch-all. Like, well, if you don't know, why sheep? Like, could they be, I don't know, bigger than that? Could they be smaller?
Does he turn around and see that she's looking at Mrs. Jones's flock of sheep right outside the window, and that was what caught her attention?
Like, you know, if let's say, and I hope this comes true, that they discover Bigfoot someday.
Sure.
And then Bigfoot is like 4 feet tall. You'd be like, God, well, that was, we were off on that. We saw the tracks. I guess the snow melted and they looked bigger. I don't know. Anyway, it's not very impressive, Bigfoot.
They just have to shoot him in the head and leave him and just being like, well, we can never tell anyone about this.
Yes.
There's so much Western merchandise for sale with this outline on him, and we can't let the people know the truth.
Sort of, you know, cute with big eyes. You don't stink at all either. I know. What can I say? I'm Bigfoot.
And her excuse of this is that, like, hey, like, no one's ever seen crabs this big before, so what could it be? And she says, hey, after all, they're still not certain about the Loch Ness Monster. So when that's your defense, you sort of must realize that you're in over your head. And his response to that is, you're right. It's so incredible. I've been amazed at some of my discoveries regarding plant life.
Oh, boy.
I have to be sure, though. So it's an odd spot for the humble brag, I would say. I guess he's trying to impress the 25-year-old, but he's been in the brig for like 10 hours and his nephew is dead. So maybe he'd hold off on your amazing discoveries about foxglove or whatever.
Yeah. Well, Loch Ness Monster is a thing. Like, yeah, boy, that's true. Ooh, boy, I've been smoking a lot of pipes lately, too. Wait, what? I don't make the connection. No, never mind.
Yeah, and keep in mind, what was it? He was in the devastating throes of agony based on... Oh, he's enduring untold mental agony until they've been discovered alive. So this is as he's being like, yeah, I've been working on some algae cultures. Yeah. Some amazing stuff down there regarding blue algae.
Neat.
Spirulina. Got some of that. It could have some potential nutritional benefits.
He is one of those the next person who talks loses kind of guys, you know, where he says something. Yeah, I got to get to bed. I'm headed out early, going to a pretty interesting foreign country I'm going to be flying to. Total silence. Do not ask.
Please, I don't want to know.
Let me eat this cookie smeared with cheese.
Got some cultures from a particularly interesting pond that are right about time to put under the microscope.
Gonna be I'm providing the plants for a movie shoot tomorrow. I'm just gonna be putting them in kind of background stuff. For a major motion picture.
So you won't be in the movie?
No,
you won't be. No.
Okay.
So you won't be meeting the actor. I'm not even gonna. I don't want to know who it is.
Actually, they just sent me a text. They don't need the plants.
Don't need the plants. Yeah. Turns out they have fake ones. Yeah. It's much harder to shoot real plants. They will. Some people like. Yeah. Okay.
I don't have clearance to get on set either. So that's another.
Just gonna be dropping them off at the loading dock. It's a union thing. They have to bring them in themselves. So, where are you going? Oh, you're going to let the crabs pinch you in half. That makes sense.
By the way, she says, though, that it was as though a herd of them had been crawling along the tide line.
Okay.
Is she going hard on the sheep thing there? Is a bunch of crabs a herd?
Yep, there's a guy behind him. He's got his crook herding them along.
I don't know what they call. What is a bunch of crabs?
A bunch of crabs. That's a good idea. That's a good.
What was? I heard one the other day.
A bushel.
It was so stupid. It was like, what do you call a bunch of porcupine?
Yeah.
A plot.
A senate.
Okay. There's someone just making these up.
Yeah, it has to be. I'm seeing a cast of crabs, so you're not going to be a fan of that one.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's like when someone who got the naming rights for crows.
Right.
A murder of crows. Like, okay, Jim, you can have that one.
I thought of all of them, you'd be pleased with that one. That sort of sums up your relationship with them.
That is true. Yes,
It's a good time
chasing crows away.
It's a good time at our life when I can be like, sorry, I didn't respond to your message. I was deporting a trapped squirrel 2 miles away, so it wouldn't keep eating my tomatoes. And you say, no big deal. I was shining a green laser into crow's eyes, so it would not let me sleep past 5 a.m.
That is 100% true.
We are both Elmer Fudding or Wallace and Gromiting.
Yeah, that we're not going to bring that up around Mrs. Jones' dinner table when there's a small, attractive woman wearing a tartan skirt.
Yes, but he does say to her, he notices that she's been married as well. She's got a wedding ring tan, but he says, "Suppose we bathe together tomorrow." They had just spent so we know that means go swimming, but he says they just talked about how both of them saw tracks of hundreds of killer crabs. Why would you go anywhere near the water? But they're going to. And then I'm sure you had this flagged as a potential robot pimp type of sentence tag. Most of the other guests had already breakfasted and departed by the time they sat down and made a start on their respective melons.
I certainly did.
Respective melons.
Respective melons. I had so many thoughts about that. I was like, that would be a good band name, I guess.
Yep. There you go.
Respective melons.
Yeah. I mean, they're a very popular band is just a lateral move, Blind Melon. I mean, why? There you go.
Respective melons. Because my son ridicules my taste in music if the band name has "the" in front of it. The Strokes or the Cure. Like, what the? I don't know.
What?
They stopped putting "the" in front of band names after a certain point.
I suppose, yeah. But I mean, The Who? I don't know. That seems like it has long roots.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a particular thing of his.
They see that in the newspaper headlines that 5 more people have gone missing. And it says that Cliff says, "By God, take a look at this. It's already begun. The crabs are attacking." And this book has some pretty good chapter enders. I think that is one of them.
Passing the newspaper across to Pat Benson.
Pat Benson. Hi, I'm Pat Benson, Channel 4 News.
It must have been like if you saw something in your backyard and then you're like, well, it's got to be a dog like 20 feet long. Mm-hmm. And then your neighbor's like, no, I set some lumber down there. And that's, that's what are you talking about? And then you look at the paper like 20-foot dog ravages. Hey, take a look at this.
Yeah. Huh?
I win. That's what it was like.
Yeah, I'm the father of one of those 5 people. Yeah, suck it. Yeah, I was right. I was right.
They've started attacking.
Right. I am still in untold agony because of my nephew's death as well.
Yes. But. Yeah. As he smokes his pipe and eats his respective melon.
The next day, they are walking hand in hand as they go down to the beach. So they are moving pretty quick. Maybe it's the fact that they're both like getting over a loved or fiance or significant other who they're married to. But they are, I don't know, maybe they're just on vacation and that's the mood that strikes you.
My bathing costume is getting back to normal, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so hand in hand with a 25-year-old. How old is Cliff Davenport? Professor Cliff Davenport?
Late 30s, 38 maybe.
And he's friends with, what was his name? Sir Richard Sorry, that's going back a chapter. I'm trying to find his name.
Yeah, I don't know. But it was Sir Richard, and it was of something. It wasn't Sir Richard, but anyway. Sir Ronald Bradley of Whitehall.
Yes, so, all right. So I don't know if he's impressing the tartan skirt woman, Pat Benson?
Maybe he's dropped that name already.
With the, I won't refer to her...
firmness.
For firmness either anyway. But yes, they're holding hands out
holding
to go
hands
bathe.
To go bathe down at the beach. And
Yes.
she points out, she refers to them as horrific claw prints. And then, is this a Britishism you were familiar with? She's saying that I'm here. I only got here yesterday. I'm here for 2 weeks. But nothing to go back home for now. On top of all that, I've got a streak of the nosy-parker in me.
I searched. I looked up. I was absolutely baffled by that.
Nice.
I have no idea what that means.
Nice. There's a post from someone asking on Reddit if people still say this word because they said it in front of a youngster and they looked at him completely blank when they said it. So.
I like that. So they go ostensibly to bathe, but they're not bathing. So what they know so far, the dangerous currents, right? Bathing is dangerous. There's helicopters overhead searching. Giant crabs are a given because they've seen the claw prints. And she goes, "How long are you staying here?" It's just like splashing through the water.
Yeah.
So how'd you like your respective melon? I don't know. I'm just trying to make conversation here.
Yeah. The army is trying to ward off the crabs by playing, the screams of slaughtered animals like they interrogate people with. And, they're just being like, I don't know, the sun's supposed to come out tomorrow, so stick it around. It's probably going to be a nice day on the beach.
We want to head into town, get a souvenir or something? Or anyway. Nosy-Parker, by the way, when I looked it up, it said, you meant to spell it with an E.
Okay.
And then it's like from some book or something?
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't think it's a phrase that is used.
Yeah.
Certainly not in the U.S., but Nosy-Parker. A character, maybe? I don't know.
Sure. Maybe it was in Irene Iddesleigh too.
It could be.
So there are more tracks. It looks like someone had tried to plow up the land with a mechanical cultivator. So once again, another plausible explanation for what's going on. And they look at the cracks and he says, "It's crabs, all right. Look, here's a fragment of shell and another."
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to, this was, I think, one of the most amazing things that we've encountered in this thing. So he says, there's crabs, you must be right. They must be as big as sheep. But, Pat's voice trembled. Why hasn't anybody seen them? And then we get this exchange. And I want to enact this in real time for you.
Sure.
Because it struck me as so, just not dark web, but I want to reenact it ourselves.
Yes. Here. Okay.
She says, "Why hasn't anybody seen the crabs?"
Okay, I'll play Pat.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Are you prepared to do it?
I am.
But my breast's so firm. Why hasn't anybody seen them?
Well, for 2 reasons, I should say. Cliff paused and slowly filled his pipe, packing the tobacco down slightly. So, for 2 reasons, it says, Cliff paused and slowly filled his pipe, packing the tobacco down tightly in his bowl, and then proceeding to light it. So here's what's going to happen.
Okay.
I'm going to do that.
Yes.
For two reasons, I should say.
Yes.
Let me just
Yes. What
get this out here.
this was asking about if anybody
Digging for my
had seen them.
got my what is this? Burley. Yeah.
As big as sheep. So
Two reasons. 1 second.
yes. No, I'm waiting to hear for the crabs as big as sheep. Oh, I see you're actually packing your. Are you going to? You probably
two reasons.
Yeah, you probably have time to give the first reason. I would think you'd have the.
Got to pack it full if you're going to smoke it for
Yes, no, of course.
hour and 38 minutes. That's
Yeah,
what
if
I
you're
say.
going to win a contest, I would think you'd want to. Do you have a tamper, or should I?
I'm not. It's not. This character is quite good at this, but the reenactor might not have really been prepared to
again, biggest sheep. Could
Two
be.
reasons.
Yep. No, I'm waiting for the first. Could be approaching at any moment.
If you are listening, this is happening in real time on the video feed.
Should I?
That's pretty tight.
Should I head back and
2 reasons.
get a melon, or are we? No, we're good. Okay, now he's tamping it. I'm waiting for reason number 1. Still haven't heard it.
It's on a beach, so this is going to be kind of tricky, I'm guessing.
Yes, it's windy too. It's quite windy. Quite windy. Oh,
Hang on.
there's yes.
Hang on.
Oh, okay. Don't burn your finger before you give me reason number 1, which you promised was forthcoming.
Really gotta, if you're going to smoke.
Yes, no, you have to get the nice red ash all over the surface so that it lights correctly. I know that. I'm only 25, but I know how pipes work already. Oh.
Firstly, as I've already mentioned,
yes.
they've only appeared on this part of the coast, and secondly,
Oh,
they move and feed at night
yes.
when there's a full moon. So
Whew. That,
there
worth
you go.
the wait.
Now, of course, a rugged professor of botany could probably do that a little faster than I could, but it's
Right.
Woo!
Yes.
that tobacco's
how's that?
probably 8 years old, I would guess. That's
Yeah, it seemed to light up rather quickly. Probably pretty dry.
pretty dry. Yeah, I bought that in Vermont, and I have not lived there for 5 years. So.
Better take a fresh orange peel and put it in the pouch with that. Moisten it up again.
I think I'll be tossing it after that.
Okay.
That was nuts. I'm glad I had it though. Whew! Oh, now my office smells of rich pipe tobacco and mahogany now. So.
Are you already getting the spins from that?
No, I don't really
Nicotine
know what I'm doing.
spins?
The pipe did go out, so Guy and Smith would have wiped the floor with me at that pipe packing competition.
But Pat jumps to, I would say, a rather large conclusion here. She says, so they find a shell fragment, so there you go. Proof positive that they're as big as sheep, which he confirms. Can't we advise the authorities? Pat spread her hands in despair. The army, for instance. That's what you jump to? The authorities? Like, can't we just go to the army? Hey, army, big crabs, size of sheep. Get
Right.
out of my office now.
Right, especially when you're in a vacation town that you can only imagine it's Amity Island in Jaws. So there's the local constabulary. There's a guy probably who should we go to him or the army? But maybe they have their base there. So
Brings me to a sonic challenge for you.
please.
Cliff Davenport laughed, but there was no mirth in his laughter.
Oh, okay. That what in response to the army, for instance.
The army, for instance, yes. Whoa, that was mirthless.
I think it was. I mean, it must have been.
Oh, he chided her, puffing out thick clouds of smoke. So,
There you go. He had his
okay.
pipe in his mouth. Great. Oh man, just making every character a pipe smoker is such a power move.
I bet people in they would win more court cases if they were able to light their pipe. Because now all they have are glasses to point, to take off slowly. And, I'm just a small country lawyer, but I don't know.
Permission to smoke a pipe in court overruled.
I'll allow it, but watch yourself.
They make a plan to watch them from the dunes that night since they're like, why hasn't anybody seen them? They only move at night. Well, it is a beach resort town. You do feel like a midnight stroll would be a moonlit stroll would be kind of a nice activity to do, but oh well. And she says, she's like, I'm coming with you. Make no mistake about that. Now look here, said Cliff, sternly grasping her by his shoulders. This is no job for a woman. Which is, again, in every black and white movie starring a John Agar type, that's just the pull yourself together, woman.
You're hysterical. You just think about that. That's Bridget and I wanted to do a montage of shoulder grabbing because it's just so prevalent, or like grabbing the elbow and hauling someone around.
Uh-huh.
Like, if someone did that to you, you would just turn on them and punch them directly in the eye. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like someone poking you in the chest. It's the most aggressive thing. Like, Are you kidding me? You put that finger on my chest one more time, I swear to God. And that's what seems like shoulder grabbing to me would infuriate me.
Yeah, because you pull them in like it's a dance. It's like put a shoulder and you're like chest to chest with them as you're grabbing the shoulders as you're in this gesture we're all familiar with.
Yeah, but like also that's to calm them down. What?
Yes, calm down, damn it. Well, speaking of movies we've seen,
Yes.
they now encounter a new character.
Yes, this is incredible.
Bartholomew.
Mm-hmm.
He had a loping, shambling gait. His body seemed to be twisted from the waist downwards as though he was deformed. Long, matted hair and unkempt beard, he'd reminded them of Robinson Crusoe. His eyes were large and staring, his nose little more than 2 nostrils situated among thin lips, which were unable to hide the battered stumps of decayed and broken teeth. And Cliff's response is, a beachcomber. What a strange fellow. This guy might pose more of a threat than the crabs do, man.
Oh, look, he's holding a sharpened piece of iron, and he's approaching us. A beachcomber.
Wheezing and grunting, they say. And, it turns out that's Bartholomew. Mrs. Jones fills them in on this as they go back home.
I, of course, wrote down just one word. I assume you know what that word is.
It starts with a T.
Yes, it does.
Torgo.
Torgo. He was twisted from the waist downwards.
Yeah.
So upstairs was all bathing costume, my friend.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then,
Rugged and shirtless.
but 2 nostrils?
Yeah, it sounds like
Isn't that who's the noseless villain from? Is that Harry
Voldemort,
Potter?
yeah.
Voldemort has no nose.
his septum is dissolved from all the cocaine he's been doing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's very odd.
What a strange fellow.
A beachcomber.
So they see that guy, and they then go and like sit back among the dunes, scoping out their spot, where Cliff feels for the first time a stirring in his loins.
Yes.
Which I think lots of listeners pointed out that this is what Maximin the Mister was always feeling.
Oh, a stirring.
Loin stirring, yeah.
And his heart was beating faster than it usually did. So he normally kept track of it, but it's a little faster. Yeah. Click, click, click. Hey, my watch isn't luminous, but I can still track my heartbeat.
Maybe the heart is beating faster because of the wheezing, grunting freak you just encountered lurching down the beach. That would be give anyone a start.
Does he have no nose? What an odd little fellow.
And they sort of had some romance talk, and like I've been lonely since my husband died, which that combined with killer crabs and Bartholomew make him think his loins were fully charged with emotion, and he would dearly have loved to have taken her.
God, taken. So I'll read this. There's a lot to say here. I'm sure you noted this too. She kissed him again. This time, his long, slim fingers stroked her body through her clothing, lingering on those, I'm sorry, I have to read this, delightful breasts, yet fearing to progress further. His loins were fully charged with emotion, and he would dearly have loved to have taken her.
Yeah, I was sort of focused on the romance long talk. I didn't notice that there was a second long fingers. Jeez.
What is going on here?
It's Grandpa No meters ratcheting up. It's getting up there. 6 out of 10, I'd say. Grandpa stopped mentioning her loins. That's not very...
But he dared not... Oh, all right. Anyway.
Roasted pork loin, such a good cut of meat, but just it's the one that immediately calls to mind from reading these romance books.
When they were searching for, when you had to write undercover and you couldn't come right out and say something, I feel like they could have picked something other than loins. What was the one when clearly like a baseball player or something just got hit right in the junk?
Oh.
And they would go like, it glanced his inner thigh, like, when everyone could clearly see.
Yeah, I know what inner thigh pain looks like, and that guy is doing the old clutch and writhe.
Yes. Just an odd choice, but I guess you can't come out and say it. But loin seems bad.
I looked at those are the only 2 mentions of loins in this book, which I was disappointed and surprised by.
Dang.
They go back to the B&B where Mrs. Jones has prepared a lunch of fresh crab and salad. Get it? And Mrs. Jones is the one who explains to them that the beachcomber is Bartholomew.
Yes.
He's been around for 3 years now, never bothers nobody, spends his life on the beaches all along the coast, lives in caves, I suppose, does a few odd jobs around the harbor from time to time. So she just tosses off, this guy lives in caves as a sort of just like, he's, as if you'd say like, oh yeah, he played some minor league baseball. It's a factoid about him.
I noted that as well, like, lives in caves? That can't be a throwaway. It's like we happen to know a woman who won the women's U.S. Open golf tournament.
Wow.
That's just kind of she was a one-off at that. But you hear it and like you can't just like include that.
Sure.
It's like once I was at I think I've told this before that we were with a group of women and this one woman said, "You remember that, Claire? That was the day you got shot in the face." And then proceeded with the story about something else. And we're like, hey, hang on.
I was digging into my respective melon.
Yes. That's the same thing if you just said, yeah, so, I've been combing the beach a lot lately. I live in a cave. Anyway, what do you tell me about yourself? Like, hey, hang on. Hang on. You live in a cave? Yeah, it's not a big deal.
I was put in the mind of that's where they found Roller Gator. He was just hanging out in some sea cave. And so
that's true.
Bartholomew could have stumbled upon him. She also buries the lead that Bartholomew is deaf and mute, which again, I would say that as sort of, I would lead with that. Like if you're trying to get in touch with him, he does have some restrictions on what he can do. So just leave a note at his cave. He'll be able to read it. He'll get back to you.
Yes. So they leave, right? At the end of this chapter?
Yep, it's nighttime, so they head out.
Yeah, okay. And then they describe. So this was a moment, I'm sure everyone noted this moment. I certainly did, and I so much so that I called my wife is in the same house as me, but she's a couple floors away. So I called her and described the sentence, and she confirmed that she laughed really hard. Cliff Davenport had a sports jacket over his open-neck shirt and was wearing flannels and pumps. I said, is that a thing? Like, is there such? And she's like, nope, he's wearing pumps. Women's high-heeled shoes.
Guy N. Pearce is rarely shown from the waist down, so that could have been, he could have had an Ed Wood thing going on.
Okay, that's fine that he was. Doesn't seem like beach material, but whatever.
I mean, Bryce Howard flees all the dinosaurs in Jurassic World wearing high-heeled pumps, right? Maybe that's their ideal beach running shoes. Of course, my mind went to the huge Reebok pumps from 1991, those gaudy shoes that you would inflate to get a better fit. But that would also be quite funny if he was a botanist running in those.
But that was the 76. I don't think they were pumping shoes then, so I think he's talking about high-heeled shoes.
So we did get a note from this.
Okay.
Chris, who identified himself as our British correspondent, so he can weigh in on any of these isms that we're questioning. He said, rather than being a formal heeled shoe or being part of a hell of a rig, they're actually more casual and probably better known elsewhere as a plimsoll. We almost had a spit take there. The term might ring a bell to Mike, as Bertie Wooster once assumed the name of Eustace H. Plimsoll of the Laburnums in a Jeeves and Wooster book. And he did set a picture of what he's referring to here. And he said, the second picture on the page, the blue shows with the laces is probably closer to what he's wearing. Although in primary school, we always wear the black pumps in the first picture for PE. And like they almost look like old school Vans. Like Vans from 1990s, but pumps? Why?
Pumps? I mean, it doesn't make any more sense for what we're thinking of either.
Sure, yeah. The 1990s Reebok ones, you actually did pump, and so I was confused when there was I heard about women's high heels named that. So
Yes. Plimsolls. I believe there was an alternative band in the 80s called the Plimsolls.
August is very objecting to the.
Yes, the. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. I mean, I assumed it was. I assumed he was not.
Yeah, introducing some cross-dressing into the thing.
That's crazy. Okay, but it does say pumps.
This is another just example of the dialogue that I just found. I don't know if he's trying to be funny. Reading the interviews with the guy in Smith, his humor does not necessarily shine through there. Yes. He does not seem like he's cracking up with the thing. It doesn't seem like seems like he doesn't take himself super seriously, but he also isn't doing it for laughs or anything. So when you read dialogue like this, it's hard to know what he intended here. What a beautiful night, Pat remarked as they passed alongside the barbed wire fence which enclosed War Department property. If only we didn't have to worry about giant crabs. Cliff's response, Cliff pulled her closer and kissed her.
Well, then he says this has to mean something different in the UK as well, right? He said with more conviction than he felt, probably it'll turn out to be a white elephant after all. And the marks in the sand were made by Bartholomew searching for mussels. First of all, yes, go with that.
Yep, right.
But it'll turn out to be a white elephant?
The red herring's loser brother. I don't know.
Well, isn't white elephant
it's a gift exchange?
A gift exchange where you give someone a joke, a gag gift, something they don't want, right?
Correct. Yes.
It'll turn out to be a gift that we do not want that someone gave us at a party.
Good thing we have a British correspondent who can be on the task.
Okay.
Look, they call a car trunk a boot. Like maybe they call a red herring a white elephant.
Yeah,
it's
that's
these
true.
Impossible cultural divides.
Yeah, a boot. That must confuse Canadian people. A boot. Yes, a boot what?
Oh. And then it ends with another of my favorite chapter endings, which I thought was pretty great. Gradually, the sound of radios and singing died away in the distance. Shell Island slept. Any time now, the crabs would walk. Oh. I'm amused.
Oh, Pat Benson. What was the we're currently doing a movie that is just utterly terrible, and I looked up a review and it said the thing that you like, well, it's obvious that the makers of this were doing it tongue firmly in cheek. I'm like, you don't get to give them that credit. It's just terrible. No, they were kidding. Get it? Like, no, I don't get it because it's just awful. What are you talking about? That's like when you read bad prose. Like, well, they weren't serious. Well, I don't care what their intent was.
Yeah, his MO seemed to be to bang out 15,000 words a week. So there was not a lot of time to be like crafting jokes or irony in this. It was just, this is what came to mind and that's what I'm printing.
Yeah. I wonder if people are getting the subtlety of my humor. Like, there's no subtlety. He's banging away on his typewriter. Okay, chapter 5.
Chapter 5. Yep.
Yeah,
this is
I don't have a ton of notes for this. It's nice. It's a good action scene. It's an action set piece.
Yeah, I might just want to share some of the action as we get there. But
for sure.
We get another kind of action leading up to that. So, but first, we check in on his watch, which, as you'll know, was not a luminescent face.
Of course it wasn't, yes.
However, he could see the dial plainly in the bright moonlight.
Yes.
So the moonlight is allowing him to see it. So just for all the fans of the watches out there, we're keeping tabs on whether he can see his watch or not.
It was 12. It was 12:30.
Okay.
What is isn't there a British term 20 of, or what? You know what I mean? Is where someone says it, you're like, is that a half hour past 12? So I was just appreciative of the fact that 12:30.
Yeah. Guy can lay it out for us.
Yeah. Thank you, Guy.
Then so they're here. His nephew has been drowned or eaten by giant crabs, as was the fiance. Mm-hmm. 5 other people are dead. He's been arrested by secret police and is permanently grief, whatever it said, until they found his body.
Mm-hmm.
They're also out there to observe the crabs, which will emerge under the full moon any minute now.
Yeah, we were told at the end, any time now, the crabs would walk.
Would walk.
They're the size of sheep.
Yes.
We've confirmed that by the claw prints.
Yeah, they've. Who knows what you? She hasn't really measured the claw prints or anything like that, and then seen how that would proportionally claw to your crab is what 3 times the size of your body. Who knows? She hasn't figured anything out.
Yeah, if you're a botanist, you could probably see a leaf and you go, okay, I know how tall that tree is, but I'm measuring it here down to the millimeter. But crab print in the wet sand is enough to confirm.
She saw a sheep earlier that day and said, "Must be a sheep."
Sheep. Yes, gotcha.
So they start smooching, as you would in this situation.
Yeah.
The groping hands were far more daring than they had been earlier on that day, and he felt his manhood stiffening under her touch. Oh dear. So they start like really getting busy in the dunes of the Cape. So
sounds
late
familiar.
70s, yes, for quite a time. In the moonlight too. When did that song come out? Pina Colada song. That was probably 1976.
That's
79. So maybe he drew some inspiration from this.
Yes. What was his name?
Rupert Holmes.
Rupert Holmes. Yes. He was reading this book. Sure.
And here, so Grandpa No goes off the rails at this point in time. He feels the coolness of the night air on his warm moistness. That is your. I kept being put in mind of this is just one of those moments from your childhood that is inconsequential but gets seared into your mind. I mean, anytime that your parents giving you the talk, everyone remembers that. But I remembered I was probably in like freshman year of high school and a family gathering for probably a holiday, and I had a cousin who was pregnant, who was probably 10 years older than me or something. But I remember my dad saying like, or maybe she didn't know. People knew, but you couldn't see it, so it wasn't obvious. But he was like, Julie, I hear that you're, and then a pause as you could see him, the gears turning, like, what do I say to a 24-year-old who's with child? And I'm like, did my dad just say with child to this person? Are we the Canterbury Tales? Like, so that's just always been this awkward thing that's been seared in my mind. And that's the way that they're talking about his warm moistness. If you saw your dad typing that, you'd be like, I'm never going to forget that. Oh
gosh, Dad, no.
Yeah.
And here's how it happens. Here's how it works. Their lips met again, tongues probing, and entwining. What?
Yeah.
Isn't there's some like a drawing of like lizards? I'm thinking of like snakes or lizards or something. Entwining?
Nodding? Is that what they're doing?
Could be. I'm thinking of like Rat King kind of experience here where their tails
reverse, get... Gross. Yeah. Or Mortal Kombat, there was a guy named Reptile who would lash his tongue out and rip your head off with it.
Okay, yeah. So
keep reading that. Keep reading that excerpt because that's really good.
Both of them were experiencing the awakening of something which had lain dormant in them for so long. Rapidly, they were getting out of control. Nothing else mattered. ... Not even the giant crabs!
So again, that's just legitimately hilarious, whether he meant it or not. Like,
yes.
And so it says he's unclothing her. He sees her thighs, which conceal the secrets of men who had lain there, men who had been sexually satisfied beyond their wildest dreams. Like, wow, like you're imposing a lot on her backstory here. And then talking about the warm moistness, we get her warm river of desire. So the Grandpa No meter has been shattered, the scale, and has been sent back to the factory for repairs here. And then so they get busy, they start getting dressed again, and it says, I'm more than glad I let you come with me tonight, he whispered as he zipped himself up again. Ugh. I'm afraid, though, that we must still keep an eye open for those crabs. Which I don't know. It just, not something you. If she has really had so many men who had been sexually satisfied beyond their wildest dreams, maybe not the creature you want to be mentioning right in that moment. I don't know.
What is he describes after that? The tide was sweet, and somewhere a curlew uttered.
Oh, yep.
What's a curlew?
I meant to look that up. I just
feel like that's Shakespearean or something.
Yeah, it looks like a sandpiper, kind of.
Okay, a curlew. I've never. All right.
We can see if it has a eerie call, a loon call. It's like the most eerie nighttime call. But then after the curlew utters its call, he saw a movement. Bartholomew maybe taking everything in from a distance through binoculars, getting some material for back in the cave when he's alone. But
I may not have a nose, but other things poke out, if you know what I'm saying.
But it is Bartholomew. He's lurching around, sometimes on all four, and it is Bartholomew the beachcomber. They describe him just like, how feral is this guy?
He lives in a cave. He moves sometimes on all fours. And that Mrs. Jones is just like, oh, dearie, he's a lovey. Yeah. I'd have him in for tea anytime. This thing that moves around on all fours and lives in a cave?
Doing odd jobs at the harbor. So guys are like, hey, Bartholomew, I got some barnacles on the hull of my yacht. I see that you're sucking them off the boat already. That's, I was going to give you a chisel, but man, you're going to town. I guess that's good eating.
Hey, Bartholomew, eat a cave centipede for me. I'll give you $1. No problem, sir. Shall do it. Crunch, crunch, crunch.
But here he is. So he did. It's essentially it was just a cat cliche because they think it's the crabs, but it's Bartholomew. But it might be worse than the crabs because it's the grotesque form of the man who they met earlier in the day, groveled amidst the heaped up, stinking seaweed. Wide, staring eyes darting eagerly about him as he searched amongst the debris remaining from the last tide. All the time, he grunted unintelligibly like some snuffling beast of prey on a fresh scent. So he's like Charles Manson or something coming up there.
I mean, even like Gollum at the secret pool, right, catching the fish.
Yeah,
he seemed pretty cheerful compared to this. You'd be like, what is that creature? He's singing his little song like la 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 la. This guy's like,
yeah,
rooting around among the stinking heaped up seaweed,
doing the Regan in the Exorcist crab walk down the stairs and stuff. Cliff had suddenly wished he'd brought his old service revolver. He had never been afraid of any man in his life, but prayed now that Bartholomew would not spot them. So it's Night of the Bartholomew. But then the crabs.
He's in love. Butter wouldn't melt in his mouth, dearie.
But then the crabs do emerge. Like a host of behemoths rising up from the mighty deep. And their expressions on their face were almost human. Evil, deep-set eyes glozed, missing nothing. And he says, big as sheep? Clef Davenport laughed hysterically. They're as big as bloody cows. So
he probably shouldn't be laughing hysterically, was my thought right then. Like, right? I mean, the crabs are emerging from you don't know anything about them except that they're the size of cows. Mm-hmm. Probably should keep quiet.
Yes.
They're crouched down in the grass, right?
Yeah, and presumably a good distance away. You don't know if they're like, T-Rex. They hear by vibrations rather than
but probably best to not
stop
and laugh hysterically.
Yeah, in any situation.
Big as sheep. Cliff, please.
Turns out they can hear, unlike Bartholomew. Also, if your assumption the whole time has been that the horrible crab creatures that you've invented out of thin air are the size of sheep, the fact that they are the size of cows is not like that. Like, oh, there we go, off by a factor of 2. Sorry,
And what kind were you thinking of? Like the big sheep, those ones they use for meat? Yes, I was thinking of those, not the smaller ones that they use for their wool. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
That's important to clarify.
And then he says, "Quiet." She talks. He laughs hysterically. She goes, "Oh my God, they actually exist. They're real." And he's quiet. He commanded, holding her close. Not a sound. You You spent a minute and a half laughing hysterically.
Like a mad scientist. Now you're grabbing me by my shoulders again and saying, "Settle down, woman."
You were laughing like Robin Hood in that movie where you put your hands on your hips and throw your head back. And then,
Oh, the foolish crabs.
now I'm supposed to shut up at your command? Why don't you grab me by the shoulders again and shake me, jackass?
But then comes King Crab. Nobody could have doubted the latest arrival to right to rule, half as big again as the rest of those nightmarish creatures. He was the very personification of evil. The crabification, can you personify something as a non-person? I'm not sure. But he has horrific leader's eyes, the size of saucers, glinting in the bright moonlight. It was communicating with the others, giving orders.
It made me laugh that he just started a paragraph with "King Crab!" exclamation point. Okay, I'll picture it myself.
Yeah,
That's fine.
It gets it's a 5-year-old making up a story as they go kind of thing. And then King Crab came, and his eyes were the size of saucers, and he gave the orders to the other ones.
So during the middle of this, the leader's eyes, yes, shuffled. They scuffle or shuffle. They do a bunch of things. They shimmy. The King Crab waves them on. But so all of this is happening. They're watching, I'm assuming, hundreds, dozens? I don't know.
I think it said hundreds.
Okay.
Or at least 100.
So a bunch of them, it's 12, maybe 45. How long did it take him to do it
Form
in the
into
sand?
military formations and all crawl out of the water.
No, but how long did the professor and her do it in the sand?
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, wait, he looked at his watch after that?
Okay.
No, maybe it was before 12:30. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely 1 a.m. by this point in time.
Yeah, okay. So that's what's happening. Middle of the night, crabs the size of cattle. The professor's mind was uneasy. I wonder what... Let's get you in a therapist's office and figure this out. Why were your...
Lot to unpack here.
Why was your mind uneasy?
Yeah.
Hang on. Let's both get our pipes out.
2 reasons. Hang on.
Oh, God. Let me explain this to you. My mind seemed uneasy as I lie in the sand watching the giant crabs being commanded by King Crab.
After the feral mutant man twisted from the waist down lurched past me slobbering and
the
collecting
noseless
tin
man
cans.
hovered on all fours.
Yeah. It says the crabs advanced in a distinct military formation. They made some sort of clicking noise as they moved. And I immediately remembered a old Deep Thoughts by Jack Handey that said, of all the warning sounds that animals make, I think the one that's the least effective on me is a kind of clicking noise. So bam, Jack Handey not moved at all by his mind would not be uneasy in this situation.
Was that the entirety of the Jack Handey?
Yes,
thought?
yeah. That's how he earned his paycheck that week. Just something I read over and over again as a 13-year-old and stuck with me.
Oh, he was actually in our college newspaper.
Wow.
And I think it's the only reason anyone ever picked up the college newspaper.
A column?
It was just his, Jack Handey's Deep Thoughts, and it was a very short column, and we would just open it up, and then you just read it to one another, you know?
Oh.
Like, I'll read the first one, you read the second.
Yeah. I think the funniest, sentence that's ever been written is one of those Deep Thoughts, which was, the crows seem to be calling his name, thought Caw. Just the dumbest, funniest thing that...
Yep. Wow. All right, so King Crab commands them all to go, like he's ordering them with his claws.
Yes.
Which doesn't seem, that to me struck me as, it's not very crab-like, right?
Yeah.
Do they take the command of one leader, crabs? I guess once you heard them, I don't know, maybe they do.
Once you heard the clicking noise?
Once you heard them up.
Oh, got it.
You know,
well,
is in a herd.
Yeah, and this one's just like twice the size of the other ones, and so he's just, I don't know, it's the biggest guy in the prison yard. You got to do what he says.
So he leads his army on, and then that's where Cliff Davenport, fresh from making love in the dunes of the Cape, adopts a kneeling posture and says, "That's what they're after. Bartholomew. He hasn't seen them either."
Yeah, Bartholomew's still lurching down the beach, checking seaweed piles for, like, I don't know, maybe he's looking for coins so he can finally afford a metal detector and make this whole beachcombing thing a bit easier.
During this whole thing, by the way, this is a question for all of us. I don't have the answer to it. He gripped Pat's clammy hand tightly. Joke or the result of writing without editing?
Maybe she's a clam woman. I don't know.
Clammy hand.
Ooh, they're getting busy and he's noticing her river of desire, but then he's like, ooh, I hadn't noticed the clammy hands yet.
Notice the clammy hand yet.
Be a deal breaker for me. My damp, moist manhood is no longer standing at attention.
Is that your river of desire? No, it's your clammy hand. Okay, I'm going to drop that.
But they say, like, oh, can we do something? And he's like, there's nothing we can do. He's deaf. He hasn't even seen him. So our hero lets the deaf, mute beachcomber be lured to the death, not lured, but just set upon by the crabs. And if you're not reading along, I'd say you really should. This might even be on archive.org, but the ebook was up there. The death of Bartholomew is a pretty amazing passage, that's how the chapter ends.
It's pretty good. I'll just read this. There's the mighty pincer catches him by his game leg. The crack of splintering bone was audible above the clattering of the excited crabs.
Yeah. So they're just back to being like, yeah, get him, world star.
For one split second, Bartholomew was free. Cliff and Pat saw him roll over away from his attacker, his one leg a bloody stump from which scarlet fluid pumped, glowing like, I think, the best vintage claret in the moonlight.
Nice.
So that's your thought when you're watching a man being devoured by giant crabs, is what kind of wine does his blood look like?
I say, that looks like a good year.
That looks like I'd like to have a drop of that claret. I say so.
Let it breathe, crabs. It's important. 20 minutes to breathe.
Yes, take that alongside a little, a pinch of Virginia in my pipe, perhaps.
There are two important things to consider when selecting a bottle of vintage claret. 1 second.
Hang on. Just let the cracking of bones continue.
And then King Crab moved in again on his helpless victim. The rest of the crabs just stood back in complete silence. They made no move towards the dismembered man. Obviously, such a prize was royal property. A helpless, pitiful trunk of humanity squirmed on the blood-soaked sand, eyes that pleaded for death. But King Crab was in no hurry. He picked up a leg, held it aloft, seemed fascinated by the dripping blood, and then with a move that was almost too fast for the eye to follow, the limb sailed through the air into the midst of the clustered crabs. Excited clicking, a sudden rush. They began quarreling over the tasty morsel.
All right, here was a question that came to me. How do you tell when a crab is fascinated by something?
They do have a pretty solid block of facial expression.
There's a lot going on there. You've seen like a lobster face where there are so many parts there. Mm-hmm. And a crab, I think, is similar, right? Don't they have the pedipalps and all that going? I think it's just like so many things.
Yeah.
So when it's fascinated, what does, it doesn't have eyebrows so that it can go, this is quite fascinating. Actually, it was the fact that the crab stopped, lit his pipe, and then threw the leg over his shoulder.
I see he's got 2 legs there. That's, all right, 1 second.
No, hang on, just a moment. Keep clicking, click away, my friends. It'll be just a moment, yeah.
It says that, Bartholomew's life was ebbing from him fast, but unconsciousness still cruelly eluded him. Maybe the crab is lighting up to prolong his suffering.
And then this was a good one. 2 bloody stumps, an arm made a token resistance. Big slam on the human arm there, I'd say. Token.
Yeah, suck it, UCL. Yeah,
your legs I had to scissor off, but your arm, piece of garbage. Did it even try?
And then, so Bartholomew ends thusly: the bloody pincer gouged downwards and then upwards, entrails dangling from it, before they disappeared beneath the cavernous jaws again and again. Only when all the flesh had gone was the crunching of bone audible to the watching humans. The giant crabs did not believe in waste. The crabs.
I was thinking the crabs believed, in a lot of things. But not that Oswald did not act alone.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That the moon landing was faked. That a knuckleballer would pitch a no-hitter in their lifetimes.
Yeah.
But
See
they
another
did not.
300-game winner, yeah.
But they did not believe in waste.
They believed that the slots closest to the entrance to the casino are the loosest, so that you see them paying off the most.
They believe that, they pump oxygen in to keep you awake, so you gamble more.
Yeah, they pay people to walk around with the enormous stuffed animals at a theme park so that you think it's actually possible to win the carnival game prizes. These crabs are rubes. We need to open a crab casino. They'll just come in and empty their pockets.
Oh, hey, crabs, I'm just going to throw this out. Like, hey, I don't believe in waste. Let me see. There's still some good chicken on that.
Ooh, I didn't even know humans had mustard, but Bartholomew was full of it. Wow. What the hell was going on inside his organs? That is disgusting.
So let's see. You twist the Bartholomew head off, then you suck, and then and then you peel back. How do you eat these?
Come on. Come on. The stinging is off the charts. Hey, don't put that in print. I have much better lines than that. I'm a crab.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, it's pretty spectacular, I would say. And
yeah, that's good.
I think that our listeners agreed because they had quite a few dumb sentences to submit this week.
All right.
Dumb sentence of the week.
All right, so these again are the dumb sentences of the week submitted by our beloved jackals over on Patreon. Patreon.com/372 pages. Go and check it out. Why? Otherwise, the crabs will get you. Come on, we're not gonna
light a pipe. Go over there.
We should do a challenge. I mean, who can come closest to Guy N. Smith's 1 hour and 38-minute record on the pipe smoking
with one bowl?
He's a man of many talents.
Does he have a giant what? Oh, never mind.
They provide the pipe, so it was standard, I guess.
Oh,
Maybe
standard.
It was a big,
okay.
But anyway, if you out there think you can do it, we'll need to see footage of it if we're going to believe you. But
I think I raised this before, and I would just like to challenge our listeners to this as well. Could you simultaneously win that contest and the beard and mustache contest?
Right.
Like if you were just rocking something huge, like a big old handlebar that was twirled up, and then they come over and just go, yeah, we're just gonna both. You win both.
Yeah, we assume you can smoke a pipe for an hour and 38 minutes based on this, sir.
All right. Sorry.
All right, dumb sentences. First is Hayden, who tricked you in fan fiction. Nevertheless, it had a sinister appearance, as if it might be playing some secret role in all that had happened recently, like some silent mechanical bird of prey. Hayden said, it's a smallish jet, settle down. Piper and Scott both submitted one we covered, but nothing else mattered. Not even the giant crabs! Janelle submitted, they rolled back into the grass, lying side by side, facing each other. She said, Twilight Meadow, anyone?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Amanda submitted this one. This is, I thought, like hearing your grandparents talk about sex. They settled down at a hollow similar to that, in which they had made known their feelings towards each other that morning. Yes, that was where we made our feelings known towards each other. John submitted, Cliff always called Mrs. Jones Mum, much to her delight. And John said, she must be easily delighted. Josh and Katie both submitted, grimly he continued drinking his tea.
Okay.
Josh said, I think one of my favorite things about this book is just how English it is at times, that and the surprising level of horniness. Eric submitted, any bathing is dangerous, the sergeant stated adamantly. Heather submitted, and he's hip too, to quote a modern phrase. She said, after reading this sentence on page 3, I knew it would be one of the best reading experiences of my life. Mike submitted, with his long matted hair and unkempt beard, he reminded them of Robinson Crusoe. And he said, really? Both of them in 1976? They both thought of a 250-year-old book, and neither of them thought of Joe Cocker. R.I.P. Bartholomew. George submitted, have a good dirty week. As Chris submitted, the giant crabs did not believe in waste. Elliot submitted, this time his long, slim fingers stroked her body through her clothing, lingering on those delightful breasts, yet fearing to progress further. He says the book is the perfect mix of Lair of the White Worm and The Mister. I bet he wanted some of that vintage claret when they retreated back to their sitting room for port and walnuts.
Port and walnuts, yeah.
Emily said he began to examine the plane because it's redundant, as the sentence before is about him also looking at the plane. Rick submitted the giant crabs had arrived and said the whole dramatic arc of the book hinges on a sentence written in passive tense. Cameron submitted, he's very much your mother's younger brother. I think that was how Julie was describing his uncle to the nephew.
Yes.
Jackson submitted, his lithe figure was as sprightly as ever, and the pipe drooping out of the corner of his mouth reminded him of the time when he had portrayed Sherlock Holmes in a local amateur dramatic society's presentation of the Speckled Band. And he said, first of all, wow, a guy who is 39 isn't decrepit. And he said, second, things I do all the time also remind me of other things about me. Probably when you look in the mirror and realize you're not that much older is probably when that happens. Claire submitted, it's crabs all right, the professor stated, stooping and probing with his fingers in the muddy tracks. Sarah also submitted that one Jackson just read. Nathan submitted, until then he would endure untold mental agony. And he said, keep in mind, within 2 days he ends up banging a woman between 10 and 15 years his junior on a beach, but with untold mental agony. Augusta and Michael M. Michael M.'s first ever submission to Dumb Sentence of the Week. Most of the guests had already breakfasted and departed by the time they sat down and made a start on their respective melons. Michael said that he took it as a sign he should submit for the first time because he passed by a Chick-fil-A grand opening celebration on his way home from work, and he nearly swerved off the road when he suddenly saw, looming high over the building, a giant inflatable cow. So,
wow,
we could take that to our graves, that people will see inflatable cows and think of us. Andrew submitted, he was in his early 20s and his broad, handsome face was already tanned to a deep mahogany after less than a week of exposure to these Welsh coast sea breezes. He said, just as you did, I think the tan has more to do with the sun than the breeze. He submitted with his, the Robinson Crusoe line. He reminded them of Robinson Crusoe, and she said they've known each other for less than a day, but they're already having collective thoughts. And John submitted, of course, the receiver of the telephone on the desk was lifted, and a long, slender forefinger began to dial. I had one that I just thought was funny. It was early on, so I didn't really know what to expect. But they both laughed, and then their attention was diverted by a train crossing the estuary over the viaduct a mile away.
Wow.
Just to have estuary and viaduct diverting your attendance all in the same sentence was pretty good.
Mine was already covered, but I just want to read it again. This is a standalone sentence. Instead, his thoughts dwelt on road accidents. Just a fun thing to contemplate. Wow. Okay, that was great.
Yeah. What a good change of pace after the Mister. I'm just happy that we not the Mister. Colleen Hoover.
Colleen
Ugly
Hoover.
Love. Yeah.
Ugh. Yes,
As different as you
Bartholomew
can guess.
ripped apart, blood squirting like claret. Oh, this is what we're after.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. If you do encounter any crabs, send your encounters. If you eat any crabs, any mustard, please share that details with us as well. And we will be back you soon with another episode.
Thanks.